Chapter 1177, The Territory Plan, 1. Just because you've never heard of it doesn't mean it's impossible. Besides, not everyone can set up the formations outside the formation. Lung Ruashua laughed evilly. That's true. Master's attainments in formations are unparalleled, but I still think it's a little too far-fetched. Bing Yao was still in disbelief. Since you still don't believe me, then let's try. Lung Ruashua suggested with a smile. Yes. Bing Yao nodded. As the saying goes, what you hear is false, but what you see is true. If one had not seen it with their own eyes, it would be very difficult to believe such a mysterious thing. Then, the three of them left the wooden house. Lung Ruashua stood in front of the wooden house. She kept on releasing the hand seals from her white and tender fingertips. When Fengda and the rest saw this, they were also attracted over. However, they were tactful and did not say a word to avoid disturbing Lung Ruashua. As for the method of unsealing the seal, she had tested it many times on the miniature array, so she had long memorized it by heart. As he cast over 1,000 spells, the wooden house was gradually enveloped by a white light. Slowly, the wooden house was completely submerged in the white light. All Lung Ruashua had to do next was wait. After a long time, the dazzling white light finally disappeared. Without the spirit-gathering formation that was set up with the wooden house as the center, the spiritual chi in this place gradually became less and less. However, the seal formation that had been blocking them had also disappeared, and the scenery outside was fully displayed in front of them. Where's this place? Fengda and the others widened their eyes and were stunned again. Ugh, how could they be on the top of a nameless mountain? Without the protection of the seal, the cold wind from the surroundings directly blew on them. Everyone couldn't help but shiver and ran into the wooden houses at the same time. It's so cold. What the hell is this place? Everyone could not help but complain. Originally, with the protection of a seal formation, this place was as warm as spring and the scenery was pleasant. However, once the seal formation disappeared, the real situation here was presented before everyone's eyes. This place was not just any ordinary cold. Please reading on MYBOX and OVEL.com. If I'm not wrong, this place shouldn't be far from that 10,000-year-old snow mountain. Master Ning said happily, Little guy, you're right. We're only 1,000 meters away from the 10,000-year-old snow mountain. Bing Yao explained, but the words little guy angered Master Ning again. Damn it, I told you not to call me little guy. Master Ning jumped up and down, shouting at the top of his voice, not caring about his image. As for his subordinates, they all lowered their heads and did not dare to look at their master. In my eyes, you're just a little guy, Bing Yao said innocently. Your senior brother is bullying me. He's really rude. Master Ning ignored Bing Yao and turned to Lung Ruashua to complain. Let's discuss the next step of our plan. Lung Ruashua changed the topic. The two of them gave her a headache, so it was better for her not to get involved in their conflict. Little what are your thoughts? Bing Yao asked with a smile. You're the senior brother. Of course I have to listen to you. Lung Ruashua laughed evilly. Actually, she didn't have any other thoughts. She just didn't want the two of them to quarrel, so she just said it casually. I think we should find a place to settle down. We can't always be on the godly mainland. Bing Yao thought for a while and couldn't help but exclaim in his heart, Little fox. He actually said he didn't have any thoughts. He was really cunning. There's nothing wrong with the 4 seas being your home. At the very least, if we provoke a powerful enemy, they won't be able to find us. Lung Ruashua retorted with a smile. Yes, what Miss said makes sense. Fengda and the rest immediately agreed, while the evildoer and the rest looked at Lung Ruashua with smiles. Little there's no way we can gain a foothold in the divine realm if we run around everywhere. Many great powers would not be willing to cooperate with us. Bing Yao reminded, it doesn't matter. As long as we have the strength, no one will dare to look down on us. Lung Ruashua asked nonchalantly, wasn't strength the most important thing in the immortal realm? Since that was the case, wouldn't it be enough for them to have the strength? That's not the same. Although strength is important, territory is equally important. Otherwise, why do you think the 8 great divine domains have such great power in the divine realm? It was because they occupied a large territory. As long as a top-notch force doesn't have a fixed territory, it's not easy for them to establish themselves in the divine realm. Bing Yao explained. That sounds reasonable, but all the better places on the godly mainland have been occupied. What else can we get? Lung Ruoshu asked again. Her beautiful face seemed to be in a dilemma. The godly mainland is not small. Although most of the places have owners, little schwer, formations, so the location is not important to us. We just need to find a place that has no owner and is large enough. Bing Yao said after some thought. Is there such a place on the godly mainland? Lung Ruoshue had a look of suspicion. I've chosen a few places. Everyone can choose one of them. With that, Bing Yao took out a map of the godly land from his storage ring and showed it to everyone. The places marked with red dots are all occupied. We won't consider them for the time being. The few places I've chosen are all marked in blue. One is here. This is a wide plain. The area is very large, and there are few people here. It's more suitable to be a territory, Bing Yao explained. And here, this is the northernmost part of the godly mainland. It's made up of 3 mountains and a forest. It's a huge area, but the forces here are more complicated. Other than the big clans that send people here to train and explore, the beasts here are the strongest on the godly mainland. And finally, this place. It's located at the southernmost part of the godly continent. It's warm all year round, and the scenery isn't bad. It's the best of the 3 places I've chosen, but it's not as big as the first 2. It's a pity. Bing Yao continued. How could such a good place not be occupied? Lung Ruoshu asked in disbelief. Chapter 1178, The Territory Plan 2? Little Shue, there's something you don't know. This place isn't very big, and it's quite far from the center of the divine continent. It's hard to get there, so the powerful forces don't even care about this place. The small forces can't occupy this place either, so as time goes by, this place became ownerless. Bing Yao said, Oh, Lung Ruoshu nodded. Little Shue, you can choose one of these 3 places to be our territory. After all, a power without a territory would not be able to truly establish itself in the divine realm. Bing Yao said with anticipation. Then let's do it here. Lung Ruoshue replied without hesitation. The situation here is very complicated, Bing Yao said helplessly. Just as he had expected, little Shue had really chosen this place. This restless little girl. However, it was just what he wanted. What are you afraid of? With you around, what can't we do? Lung Ruoshue had put a high hat on Bing Yao. It was obvious that she wanted to be a hands-off manager again. Little Shue, you can't be so irresponsible. I'm just one person. Bing Yao quickly said, Don't be afraid. They'll get Fengde and the others to help you. Lung Ruoshue said with a smile. What about you? Bing Yao asked in a daze, his handsome face full of innocence. I'm here to watch the fun. Lung Ruoshue replied calmly. You can't just watch. Bing Yao protested. Why not? I've already lent you my subordinates, and you're still not satisfied. Lung Ruoshue teased. You're the head of the family. Bing Yao said softly. Only the head of the family can be a hands-off shopkeeper. The matters at home will naturally be left to you to run. Lung Ruoshue said with a smile. For some reason, her words resonated with Master Ning's subordinates. Some of them even felt that she was right. All right then. Bing Yao accepted his fate. It seemed like the violent man was right. Little Shue was a lazy person. Please reading on MYB Oxen OVEL. Calm after deciding on the location of their territory. Everyone sat on the back of the little peacock and set off for their destination. After flying for almost half a month, they finally arrived at the place that Bing Yao had mentioned. As it was located in the northernmost part of the godly continent, the temperature here was slightly lower than the other places. Looking down from the sky, they saw 3 towering mountains, and a large, lush forest surrounded the 3 mountains. Sure, although this place is a little remote, it's backed by mountains and forests. It's easy to defend and hard to attack. The resources are also rich. It's a good place. It'll be perfect if we can conquer the surrounding cities. Master Ning said after a moment of silence, "There are a total of 5 cities closest to this place, all of which belong to small families. Those 5 cities are also the only way to this place, so naturally, they have to be subdued." Bing Yao said matter-of-factly. In fact, the territory he mentioned included the 5 cities, but he didn't say it out loud. Since that's the case, he'll subdue all 5 cities at the same time. Lung Ruoxiu agreed. Little Shuer, these 5 small cities are the Dark Wind City, Fuliu City, Northern Yin City, Southern Yin City, and Linjiang City. The Northern Yin City and Southern Yin City belong to the same family, and this family can be considered the most powerful among these small forces. Why don't we start with them? Bing Yao suggested. You decide for yourself. You're the one running the errand. Lung Ruoxiu's focus was on participation. As for running errands, she would naturally leave it to her senior brother Bing Yao. After hearing Lung Ruoxiu's words, Bing Yao smiled bitterly and gloomily, while Fengde and the rest laughed to themselves. Let's first go to Yinbei City to take a look, Bing Yao said helplessly. When he said that he wanted to take a look, he didn't mean it was just a casual look. Yes, everyone nodded. Then, the little peacock turned around and headed toward the direction of Northern Yin City. Yinbei City was an unremarkable small city in the northernmost part of the godly continent. It was unremarkable because its area was too small. However, as the saying goes, relying on the mountains to survive, because of the mountains and forests behind it, Yinbei City was very rich. The economy of the city was quite developed. Although there was still a big gap between it and the big cities, its prosperity was definitely one of the best among the small and medium-sized cities. After paying the entrance fee, Lung Ruoxiu and the others walked on the streets of Northern Yin City. Looking at the bustling pedestrians and the shops on both sides of the street, the crowd could not help but sigh. For a small city to be able to have such a prosperous economy, it was clear that the city lord had put in a lot of effort. The total permanent population of Yinbei City was less than 1 million. However, Yinbei City received nearly 10 million people every day. Among those people, nearly 90% were foreigners. Therefore, there were many inns in Yinbei City. It could be said that one could see an inn after taking 2 or 3 steps, and almost every one of them was fully occupied. Lung Ruoxiu and the rest chose a slightly larger inn stay-in. Due to the limited number of rooms in the inn, they had to share a room with 5 people. However, this was nothing to cultivators. Once they became deities, they could forget about sleeping. After settling down, Fengde and the rest split into 3 groups and went to the city to gather information. Lung Ruoxiu and the demon stayed in the inn. In the bracelet, Lung Ruoxiu and the evildoer leaned on each other and did not speak for a long time. However, deep affection surrounded the two. Shuer, you've already planned to find a territory, right? The demon said. Well, I can't hide anything from you. Actually, as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't matter if I have a fixed residence or not. However, I have to think about those people on the Haotian continent. Since they have followed me, I can't let them wander around and be bullied after coming to the godly land. If we have a fixed territory, it'll be easier for them to find us. Lung Ruoxiu said with a smile. Hee. However, you're really bad to let Bing Yao handle this matter. The demon laughed evilly. This was his suggestion. Although I like it, I can't be too obvious. After all, there are still outsiders here. Lung Ruoxiu sighed. The outsiders she was referring to were naturally Master Ning's subordinates. Although Master Ning was her godfather, and she had acknowledged him, this did not mean that she would acknowledge his subordinates. Chapter 1179, The Territory Plan 3. Then how do you plan to conquer these 5 small cities? Kill all the city lords? The demon asked curiously. Subdue those that can be subdued, kill those that can't be subdued. Lung Ruoxiu said after some thought. She was a good child and would not kill people easily. Those who were killed by her would naturally have a reason to be killed. The city lords of these cities have occupied this place for many years. They must have some tricks up their sleeves. The demon said. Moreover, The place we've set our eyes on is famous for being a dangerous place on the divine mainland. Otherwise, these small cities would have changed owners a long time ago. The demon added, how dangerous is it? Lung Roashua asked curiously. Although that place is surrounded by tall mountains, the forest in the mountains is the main body. It is called the Nightmare Forest. From the name alone, you can imagine that it is very dangerous. The demon explained with a smile. As for how dangerous it was, of course, Shui had to experience it herself. A nightmare and an illusion? Since it's so dangerous there, why are there so many people taking the risk? Aren't they playing with their lives? Lung Roashua said disapprovingly. She had always thought that the bigger the head, the bigger the hat. Trying to put on a brave front would only cost her life. Isn't there a saying that wealth comes from danger? The more dangerous a place is, the greater the opportunity. Since that's the case, it's naturally incomparably attractive. And those who take the risk, how many of them don't want to get lucky? The demon explained. This should be considered a common disease of humans. In my opinion, he's clearly looking for death, Lung Roashua said disdainfully. If one wanted a good opportunity, they had to see if they had the life to enjoy it. Otherwise, it was no different from seeking death. As the two of them were chatting, Qing Ju appeared in front of them and said, Sister, Fonda, and the others are back. Oh, Lung Roashua nodded and brought the evildoer out of the bracelet. In the living room, Fonda and Bing Yao were already waiting for them. Senior brother, Fonda, you're back so soon? Lung Roashua was a little surprised. Sure, a small matter has happened. Bing Yao chuckled, very happy. Please reading on MYB Oxen OVL. Calm. You're still so happy when something happened? Could it be that this matter is beneficial to us? Lung Roashua said. Yes. Bing Yao nodded. Then don't keep me in suspense. Tell me what's the matter, Lung Roashua urged. Miss Wuha Green Peach has been captured, Fonda said directly. Who took her? Lung Roashua asked curiously. By a big pervert. I wasn't there at the time, otherwise I would have cut him into 8 pieces. He dared to capture my woman. He's really courting death. Fonda said indignantly, but he wasn't too worried. After all, it wasn't easy to take advantage of his green peach. He was captured by the city lord's young master. We were not present at that time. However, I heard from the onlookers that the city lord's young master took a fancy to Wu's beauty, so he took him and Lu Tao back to the city lord's mansion. Bing Yao said, gloating. However, he did not deny that the city lord's son had good taste, because Wu was indeed a beauty that men could not refuse. What do you mean by falling for Wu's beauty? That city lord's young master is clearly falling for my family's Lu Tao's beauty. Fonda explained with a little dissatisfaction. After hearing Fong Da's words, Lung Roakshu's face was filled with black lines. It turns out that you don't care about Wuha Green Peach being captured, but who the city lord's young master wants to capture. She was really speechless. Sigh, couldn't her subordinates' thinking be more normal? There was also the poor Wu. After the incident with Evildoer and Ling, she wanted to turn Wu back into a man, but she realized that she could not. She asked Qing Ju and found out that there was a time limit for her transformation, and the time limit was at least 3 months. Therefore, Wu had to live as a woman for 3 months. There was still about a month left before Wu could turn back into a man. However, Wu was snatched away by a lecherous man. Wu must be depressed to death at this time. No matter whose beauty they have taken a fancy to, in short, it is a fact that they have been captured by the city lord's son. Let's discuss how to make use of this matter. Bing Yao said excitedly, he was just thinking of a reason to break into the city lord's mansion. This really didn't take any effort at all. What kind of person is the city lord? Lung Roashu asked after hearing what Bing Yao said. Miss, I heard that the city lord is a good person and has a good management. Otherwise, this little yin-based city would not be so prosperous. The people in the city are very supportive of him. Fonda told him everything he knew. A good person? The definition of a good person was very broad. Lung Roashua smiled faintly and turned her gaze to Bing Yao. Northern Yin City and Southern Yin City belong to the Yin family. The Yin family has established their main family in Southern Yin City. The lord of northern Yin City is the younger brother of the current Yin family head. However, the lord of northern Yin City is a concubine's son. As for the young master of the city lord, his background is also very suspicious. Bing Yao chuckled, his handsome face filled with mystery. How many cities does the Yin clan own? Lung Ruoshu asked. Only 2. In the divinity, there are countless small clans like the Yin clan. Bing Yao said, since the Yin family only has 2 cities, why would the head of the Yin family let a younger brother born of a concubine become the lord of the city? Or is he very confident that this younger brother's prestige won't overshadow his, the head of the family? Lung Ruoshue was confused. The city lord of northern Yin City was decided by the previous clan head, their father. Therefore, even if the current Yin clan head wants to object, he has no chance. Furthermore, after the Yin clan head became the clan head, his illegitimate younger brother has already gained a firm foothold in northern Yin City and is deeply loved by the people. Thus, even if the Yin clan head wants to use any despicable means, he will not have the chance. Bing Yao explained. Oh, Lung Ruoshue finally understood. Furthermore, there's more than one young master in Yanbei City. However, the one he loves the most is the one who snatched Wuha Green Peach away. Bing Yao chuckled. Senior brother, what are you going to do? Lung Ruoshu asked with an evil smile. Chapter 1180. The Territory Plan. For sure, we'll have to ask that cheapskate ancestor of yours to handle this matter first. I've heard that the other son of the city lord of Yanbei City is quite talented in forging artifacts. Bing Yao suggested, it's just a small clan. Is there a need to go through so much trouble? Wouldn't it be easier for you to just charge into the city lord's mansion and save them? Lung Ruoshue suggested with a smile. That's not right. The lord of Yanbei City is very prestigious among the people. If we use force to obtain this city, those permanent residents will not be convinced by us. Moreover, this lord can be considered a talent in management. With him around, we can worry less in the future, right? Bing Yao said as he rolled his eyes at Lung Ruoshue. He thought to himself, this little fox clearly didn't plan to use force to occupy the city, but she still said that on purpose. How despicable. That makes sense. Then let's let the cheap ancestor take action. Lung Ruoshue said indifferently. In fact, if she wanted to occupy a city, it was not enough to just rely on martial arts. What she wanted was someone who could continue to manage the city in the future. Therefore, unless she had no choice, she would not attack the city lord. At the same time, in the guest room of the city lord's mansion, Wu Zheng was pacing back and forth like an ant on a hot nest. Wu, can you please stop loitering around? I'm getting dizzy. He leaned back comfortably on the recliner and kept nibbling on the green peach fruit. He sighed helplessly. Wu Zheng was not calm at all. I'm very annoyed, Wu said, a little depressed. What's there to be annoyed about? Miss will come and save us. Lu Tao said disapprovingly. I will definitely save him, but I don't know when. He was clear that their capture to the city lord's mansion was a once-in-lifetime opportunity for Lung Ruoshue and the others. How could those cunning foxes let it go? But he didn't want to face someone who would pester him every day. What was even more infuriating was that the person was a stinky man. Although he was a woman now, he was a real man in his bones. He felt disgusted just thinking about how he could endure a man's attention. Stop, stinky shue. It was all her fault. Calm down. There's good food and drinks here. Let's just treat it as a vacation. Lu Tao consoled, her heart filled with sympathy for Wu, but unfortunately, she was unable to help. I can't stay calm. If you're being pestered by a stinky man, you'll understand how I feel. Wu roared in anger. Wu, do you understand how I feel? I am a real woman, but my charm isn't even half as good as you, a fake woman. How am I supposed to face this? I feel inferior in front of you. Lu Tao said half-truthfully. Of course, she was not feeling inferior, but she was really depressed. Looking at Wu, who could cause the downfall of a city, which man would not be moved. Then let's switch. Let that stinky man pester you, and don't bother me. Wu suggested. Please reading on MYBOX and OVL. Wu. Your wish is good, but reality is cruel, because that guy has fallen for you. As for me, he also said that if you agree to marry him, he will be kind enough to let me be his bed-warming servant. Otherwise, I'm not even worthy of being his bed-warming servant. Lu Tao reminded. These words were personally said by the city lord's son. Although she really wanted to beat up this self-sentimental guy after hearing it, she also knew that now was not the time. However, there would always be an opportunity, and she was not in a hurry. Someone's coming, shush. Suddenly, Wu made a shushing gesture, and the two of them immediately stopped talking. In the study of the city lord's mansion, the city lord Yin Kun was in his study dealing with official business. However, he suddenly received a report from his subordinate that someone wanted to meet him. He opened the note that his subordinate had handed him, and his eyes widened in disbelief. He then asked anxiously, "Where is he?" "Wait outside the door," the subordinate reported. "Damn it. Hurry up and invite him in," Yin Kun said in a slightly annoyed manner. "Yes." The subordinate turned to leave, but was stopped by Yin Kun. "Wait, you'll invite him personally. Go find the second young master and ask him to come to the living room. There's an important guest here," Yin Kun ordered. After that, he hurried to the gate of the city lord's mansion and invited the guest into the main hall. "Your Excellency Long Xiaoyu, I really didn't expect that you would come to our northern Yin city. Your arrival has really brought glory to our city lord's mansion, and I'm very lucky." Looking at Long Xiaoyu, who was sitting opposite him, Yin Kun was so excited that he forgot himself and was incoherent. Chapter 1181. The City Lord's Mansion's Reaction. 1. City Lord is too kind. I'm just a small blacksmith. Long Xiaoyu said disapprovingly. You're too humble, Yin Kun said with a smile. But he couldn't help but wonder in his heart, is there a little blacksmith that everyone in the divine continent knows? Furthermore, even in the divine realm, Long Xiaoyu was quite famous. Who asked her to have a master who was the deputy president of the Armament Guild headquarters and was also a talented armament refining genius. After hearing Yin Kun's words, Long Xiaoyu smiled but did not say anything. Her starry eyes kept sizing up City Lord Yin. City Lord Yin looked to be about 50 years old. Although he was approaching his middle age, it was not hard to tell that he was a handsome young man when he was young. Although he was only a mid-level deity, he had a shrewd and capable look. "Father, do we have a guest?" Suddenly, a clear voice entered Long Xiaoyu's ears. She could not help but raise her head and see a young man walking in from the door. The young man was about 20 years old and had a handsome face. Although he was only the young master of a small family, he had a calm and magnanimous appearance. His strength had already reached the middle level of the early divine realm. It was clear that Yin Kun had spent a lot of effort on him. This young man should be the city lord Yin Kun's second son, the one with the talent for refining weapons. Long Xiaoyu thought to herself, but she looked at Bing Yao, who had come with her, without saying anything. Then, a faint smile appeared on her handsome face. "Is this the city lord's son?" Long Xiaoyu asked despite knowing the answer. It's my son, Tao. Quickly come and greet Her Excellency Long Xiaoyu." Yin Kun introduced with a smile. "Yin Tao greets Xiaoyu." When Yin Tao heard his father's words, he suppressed his excitement and bowed to Long Xiaoyu respectfully. "Young Master Yin, you're too polite," Long Xiaoyu said politely as she looked at the young man, who was full of admiration. You might not know this, but my son has loved refining weapons since he was young. Therefore, he has a special admiration for you. It's just that he has never had the chance to meet you," Yin Kun explained with a smile. Although he really wanted to ask Long Xiaoyu to stay in Yinbei City for a few more days, he was afraid that it would be too abrupt and would make her unhappy. "Oh, City Lord, I will be staying in northern Yin City for a few days. If young Master Yin is free, you can come to the inn and look for me. I can also give you some pointers," Long Xiaoyu said, taking advantage of the situation. "That's great. Thank you, Miss Xiaoyu." Yin Kun was overjoyed. If he could get close to Long Xiaoyu, then his son would not be bullied in the city lord's mansion in the future. Yin Tao thanks Lady Xiaoyu for her love. Yin Tao was so excited that his eyes were filled with admiration for Lung Xiaoyu. Young Master Yin, you don't have to be so polite. It's nothing. Lung Xiaoyu was very calm. Please reading on MYB Oxen OVEL. Calm. Actually, I've come here to ask for a favor from the city lord. Lung Xiaoyu said with a troubled expression. If there's anything you need, just say it. As long as it's within my power, I'll do my best. Yin Kuan said with great sincerity. It's like this. 2 of my juniors were robbed on the streets yesterday, so I want to ask City Lord Yin to help me find them. I don't know if this matter will make things difficult for City Lord Yin. Lung Xiaoyu said, a little embarrassed. The reason why they had only come to the City Lord's residence a day later was to make the City Lord feel that they had no one to look for, and had come to him for help. Who's so bold as to steal a junior from Lady Xiaoyu? Yin Kuan couldn't help but be shocked and ask in disbelief. I don't know him either. I heard from insider that the one who snatched him was a young master. He even said that he was some tyrant of northern Yin City. After all, we are outsiders, so we have no choice but to ask City Lord Yin for help. Lung Xiaoyu said helplessly, his extremely handsome face showing his depression at the right time. Don't worry, Your Excellency Xiaoyu will do my best to help you find the person. Yin Kuan promised. However, he could not help but feel shocked, especially when Lung Xiaoyu mentioned the tyrant of Yanbei City. His uneasiness grew stronger and stronger. Then he'll thank the city lord first. Lung Xiaoyu smiled as she expressed her gratitude. You're too kind, Miss Xiaoyu, Yin Kuan quickly said. After that, the 2 of them chatted for a while more before Lung Xiaoyu found an excuse and left with Bing Yao. After sending off Lung Xiaoyu and the other man, Yin Kuan summoned the butler with a gloomy expression and ordered him to find the eldest young master. Father, could it be that you suspect Big Brother of doing this? Yin Tao guessed. Who else could it be if not him? Other than him, who else would dare to do as they please in northern Yin City and call themselves a king? Yin Kuan said, holding back his anger. In the past, he could turn a blind eye to his eldest son's actions. However, he couldn't do it now because his unfilial son had provoked Lung Xiaoyu. He even suspected that Lung Xiaoyu had already found out about this matter. Therefore, he had to deal with it properly. If it was really Big Brother's doing, what does Father plan to do? Yin Tao could not help but ask. Of course, we'll hand him over to Her Excellency Lung Xiaoyu. Our Yin family cannot bring disaster to ourselves because of him, Yin Kuan said coldly. In fact, he didn't say anything. For the future of his second son, he had a hand over his eldest son. This was also a way of showing his goodwill to the other party. Hearing his father's words, Yin Tao no longer spoke. Tao, don't you think that father is too heartless? Yin Kuan looked at his second son and thought to himself, this child is too kind. Sigh. No, I know father is doing this for my own good. After a moment of contemplation, Yin Tao said. His words also made Yin Kuan feel quite comforted. It's good that you can understand father's painstaking efforts. Yin Kuan let out a long sigh of relief. At this moment, the eldest young master, who had received the butler's order, also came to the living room unwillingly under the butler's supervision. Father, why are you looking for me? The Yin family's eldest young master asked unhappily as he sat down opposite Yin Kuan. Unfilial son, did I let you sit down? Yin Kuan said angrily when he saw his eldest son's rascally appearance. Father, if you have something to say, just say it. I'm very tired. The Yin family's eldest young master did not notice his father's anger and urged him on. Chapter 1182. The City Lord's Mansion's Reaction to Unfilial Son. Kneel down. Yin Kuan roared, but the young master of the Yin family did not take it seriously. He continued to do what he wanted and even picked up the fruit on the table to eat. Butler, make this unfilial son kneel down. Seeing that his eldest son didn't even take his words seriously, Yin Kuan couldn't help but become even angrier. Yes, City Lord, the butler replied. Just as he was about to move, he was stopped by the Yin clan's eldest young master. Audacious slave, who dares to touch me? The Yin family's eldest young master glared at him and roared. Eldest young master, your subordinate apologizes. The butler said apologetically. Then he kicked the eldest young master's stomach. The eldest young master's knees gave way, and he knelt on the ground. Dog slave, you dare to offend your superior? I am the young master of Northern Yin City, and you dare to disrespect me. The Yin family's eldest young master said in anger. I'm sorry, young master. I'm only following the orders of the city lord. The butler didn't even look at the eldest young master as he spoke indifferently. Unfilial son, let me ask you, did you snatch people from the streets again? Yin Kuan asked directly. So what if I am? It's their good fortune to be liked by me. Yin Kuan said disapprovingly. TSK, he thought it was something big. It turned out that his father had called him over for such a trivial matter. This was really too much. Unfilial son, you're really audacious. You actually dare to rob anyone. You want our Yin family to be praised by you, don't you? Yin Kuan roared in anger. Father, please calm your anger. Yin Tao saw that his father's expression was not right and quickly comforted him. Master, please calm down. The butler quickly said. Only the Yin family's eldest young master was unconcerned. He casually said, Is it that serious? Father, you're exaggerating. Housekeeper, go and get the family law. Today, I will beat this unfilial son to death, so that he won't bring disaster to our Yin family. Yin Kuan was infuriated, especially when he saw the disapproving look on the young master's face. He was so angry that he couldn't keep this unfilial son of his alive any longer. Yes, the butler replied and turned to retrieve the family law. Please reading on MYB Oxen OVL, the so-called family discipline was nothing more than a tool used by the great families to carry out punishment. When a Yin family's eldest young master saw the stick in the housekeeper's hand, which was thicker than his arm, his face turned green with fear. It must be known that this was not an ordinary stick, but a holy weapon passed down in the family. It was also specially made by a blacksmith hired by his father for the use of family discipline. As far as he knew, many people who had violated the Yin family's rules had died under this stick. He did not want to be hit, nor did he want to be a dead soul under the stick. Execute, Yin Kuan said emotionlessly. The person he had offended this time was Lung Xiaoyu. For the good of the Yin family, he could not keep this son. Father, Don T. Father, I was wrong, mother. Help me. When the steward staff landed on the Yin family's eldest young master, the young master let out an earth-shattering cry for help. Arg, it hurts so much, mother. Save me. Father's going to kill me. The Yin clan's eldest young master howled. His howl had indeed attracted the attention of the servants, and some of them even went to inform the eldest young master's mother, the lady of the city. Not long after, the city lord's wife arrived. When she saw her son's bloodied body, the anger in her heart exploded. Without thinking, she rushed forward and gave Yin Tao a slap. Yin Tao, who had been slapped, did not say a word, nor did he dodge. His pair of starry eyes stared straight at the city lord's wife. Damn you little bastard. You didn't even help when you saw the city lord beating up your big brother. The city lord's wife didn't dare to blame the city lord, so she could only vent her anger on Yin Tao, this son of a concubine. I wonder how Ani would like me to help? Yin Tao sneered and questioned. How dare you? Is this how you speak to your elders? The city lord's wife bellowed. This was truly heaven-defying. Never in her dreams would she have thought that the second young master, who had always been cautious in front of her, would actually dare to question her. This made her feel that her authority had been challenged. If you want others to treat you as an elder, then you have to act like one. Otherwise, no one will respect you. Yin Kuan looked at Yin Tao with heartache and said in a cold tone, Humph. This woman was getting more and more out of control. He had tolerated her for so many years, but she kept challenging his bottom line. This was outrageous. What does the city lord mean? Are you blaming me for hitting your precious son? The city lord's wife asked. Isn't Tao your son? You gave him a slap the moment you came up, and you still want him to respect you? Yin Kuan sneered. Isn't that she or your son? How could you be so cruel? The city lord's wife retorted sarcastically, not showing any weakness. After she ran into the living room, the guests stopped the execution under the city lord's eye signal. I've pampered him too much in the past, and now he's caused an irreparable disaster. If I don't give him a good beating, how am I going to explain it to the other party? Yin Kuan said angrily. Oomph. You have the final say in this northern Yin city. What kind of disaster can't be fixed? Obviously, the mayor's wife didn't believe Yin Kun's words. She even believed that Yin Kuan wanted to kill her son so that the little bastard could get the mayor's position. You really are a woman with long hair and short knowledge. I am merely the city lord of this little northern Yin city. In the entire divine continent, and even the divine realm, there are many people that we cannot afford to offend. Do you really think that I, as the city lord, can do whatever I want? Yin Kuan mocked. What did that cheer do? I can't believe I made you so angry. After hearing Yin Kun's words, the mayor's wife's heart sank, but she also calmed down a bit. He snatched another woman yesterday. Yin Kuan glared at his unconscious eldest son and said, So what if I snatched a woman? At most, we'll just let him go. The city lord's wife said disapprovingly. In the past, Cheer had done this kind of thing many times. After the city lord found out, he only gave a small punishment, then gave the woman who was robbed some money and let her go. Therefore, she did not think that this kind of thing was a big deal. That's easy to say. Do you know whose girl he's snatching this time? Yin Kuan said angrily. Chapter 1183. The City Lord's Mansion's Reaction 3. Who's that? The City Lord's wife's face was full of question marks, her mind constantly turning back and forth, and secretly thought, could it be that the girl who was robbed had a very big background? If that was really the case, it was no wonder that the City Lord would lose his temper. She's a junior of Her Excellency Lung Xiaoyu. Yin Kuan growled. Lung Xiaoyu? Which Lung Xiaoyu? The City Lord's wife didn't react for a moment. How many Lung Xiaoyus can there be? Yin Kuan roared. City Lord, are you sure it's that Lung Xiaoyu? Are you a fake? The mayor's wife had a look of disbelief on her face. If it was really the famous Lung Xiaoyu, why would she come to a small place like the northern Yin city? She really couldn't understand. Why don't you try pretending? Yin Kuan said in an unpleasant tone. What do we do now? Hearing Yin Kun's words, the city lord's wife had no idea what to do. Although she was used to being domineering at home, she would definitely be the first to panic if something serious happened. You're asking me, but who should I ask? Yin Kuan said with his eyes wide open. In fact, he had an idea in his heart, but he would not say it out easily. Father, the most important thing right now is to send back the girl that Big Brother snatched. Otherwise, if Lady Xiaoyu blames us, our entire Yin family can't afford to be punished. Yin Tao said calmly. Tao is right, but sending her back won't be enough to appease her anger. Yin Kuan said after a moment of silence. Master, what should we do? I only have one son. You have to save him. The city lord's wife pleaded with tears in her eyes. At this moment, she had long lost her strength and only had fear. Is my eldest son and the next city lord of Yanbei City. Do you think I would want something to happen to him? Yin Kuan sighed and said helplessly, Madam, since that girl was snatched by then I'll have to trouble you to personally release that girl. You're both women, so it's easy for you to talk to each other. This way, we can also show our sincerity. Yin Kuan said after thinking for a while. All right, master, they'll go now. After the city lord's wife finished speaking, she left the living room in a hurry, not even caring about her injured and unconscious son. Not long after the city lord's wife left, she came back dejectedly. Yin Kuan and his son looked at each other and understood. Please reading on MYB Oxen OVL madam. Why are you back so soon? Has that young lady settled down? Yin Kuan pretended to be confused. Master, I wanted to arrange for that girl to leave the city lord's mansion, but she still refused to do so. The city lord's wife said gloomily. Actually, she still had one more thing to say. Not only did she say some nice things, but she had also threatened and bribed him. Who knew that he would not be moved at all and would insist that the city lord uphold justice. What did the lady say? Yin Kuan asked anxiously. She asked you to seek justice. The Yin family must give her an explanation. Otherwise, you will bear the consequences. the city lord's wife said with an ashen face. She had always been a woman of her word in northern Yin City, but now a little girl was not giving her any face. How could she not be angry from embarrassment? However, due to the other party's status, she had been holding back. Father, it seems like you have to make a trip down personally. After hearing the city lord's wife's words, Yin Tao spoke. Fine, they'll go and meet this girl. With that, Yin Kuan strode into the guest room. When he first saw Wu, the first thing he felt was beauty. She was too beautiful. No wonder his incompetent eldest son wanted to snatch her back to his residence. However, this was a thorny beauty. How could she be so easy to snatch? If it was not resolved properly, he was afraid that all his years of business would be destroyed in one day. This was something that he absolutely could not tolerate. I am the city lord of Yinbei City. May I know your name, young lady? Yin Kuan said in a friendly manner. How can my family's young lattice name be casually revealed to others? Wu did not say anything and just sat quietly on the chair. Lu Tao replied on his behalf. I've been presumptuous. Yin Kuan looked a little embarrassed. City lord, my family's young miss isn't that easy to snatch. I'm afraid you can't afford the price of snatching our young miss. Lu Tao did not waste any words and went straight to the point. Miss, please state your conditions. As long as it's within my power, I will not let you down. Yin Kuan said in a fawning manner. Oh, really? Since that's the case, then hand over the pervert who stole my family's young miss. As for the other conditions, we'll let you know when we've thought of them. Lu Tao said after some thought. Master, you can't hand the chess pieces over to them. Upon hearing Lu Tao's words, the city lord's wife quickly said. She was very afraid that Yin Kuan would hand over his son in order not to offend Lung Xiaoyu. It seems that the city lord is not very sincere. Since that's the case, there's no need for us to continue our discussion. Lu Tao said with a hint of ridicule. You better shut up. How dare you threaten the city lord? I think you must be tired of living. Let me tell you the truth. Except for the few of us, no one knows that you are being imprisoned in the city lord's mansion. If we kill you, no one will know. So, you'd better be tactful. Don't blame me for being merciless if you annoy me. The city lord's wife couldn't help but threaten again. Her words made Yin Kun's face turn extremely ugly. This damn, stupid woman. At this time, Yin Kun really wanted to strangle her. However, as the saying goes, dirty laundry should not be spread in public, so he didn't think it was a good time to deal with his first wife. However, he also couldn't let his blind wife offend the two women in front of him. However, before he could open his mouth, Green Peach spoke first. Is the city lord's wife threatening us? If we were to lose even a single strand of hair, I'm afraid that the entire Yinbei city would be buried with us. That's right. I forgot to tell you that the other young lady in my family is the goddaughter of the current Ning clan head in the divine realm. Hearing Lu Tao's words, Yin Kun's heart, which was already in a state of panic, thumped even harder. All of a sudden, he sank to the bottom of the valley. At this time, he also had the heart to die. Wasn't it enough to offend Lung Xiaoyu? Now, the master of the Ning family was involved as well. Did anyone die? The Ning clan was a great crocodile of the divine realm. How could a small clan like them afford to provoke them? Chapter 1184. The City Lord's Mansion's Reaction. 4. When the City Lord's wife heard Lu Tao's words, she was obviously stunned. Then, she laughed wildly and said, "Ha, little girl, you're quite good at guessing. If you are the goddaughter of the master of the Ning family, then I'm the goddaughter of the divine master." Obviously, the city lord's wife didn't believe Lu Tao's words, but Lu Tao didn't mind. At least, she had achieved her deterrent effect, which was enough. She didn't expect the other party to believe her. You shut up, Yin Kuan shouted after hearing his wife's words. Old master, these two are clearly liars. They actually used the master of the Ning family to scare us. We can't let these two people live. The mayor's wife said to Yin Kuan with a murderous look, City Lord, you have to choose carefully. Lu Tao also reminded with a faint smile, not a trace of anger on her beautiful face. I'm sorry, my wife's mental state is a little abnormal. I think her illness has acted up. I hope you two don't mind too much. Yin Kuan quickly said after hearing Green Peach's words. Master, the city lord's wife was about to get angry, but she was knocked unconscious by Yin Kuan, who suddenly attacked. Looking at the city lord's wife who was lying on the ground, Wu smiled and asked in confusion, City Lord, what do you mean by this? The words just now were all nonsense when Furin's illness acted up. I hope that the two of you do not mind too much. Yin Kuan said as he wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. Don't mind. That's impossible. He paused for a moment before speaking. Then how can young Lattice's anger be appeased? Yin Kuan asked helplessly. Didn't my maidservant say that she wants you to hand over the person who snatched me? Of course, if the city lord is unwilling, I will not force you. Wu said calmly. All right, I will hand that useless son over to the young lady to deal with. Yes, Yin Kuan agreed without hesitation. City lord is a straightforward person. I am very satisfied. However, just this is not enough. Wu chuckled. What other conditions does Miss have? Yin Kuan couldn't help but ask. Please reading on MYB Oxen OVEL. Calm. The city lord's son snatched me away and caused serious damage to my body and mind. You should at least give me some compensation. Wu said as a matter of course. Don't worry, miss. I won't let you down. Yin Kuan quickly promised. City lord, I haven't finished my words. Don't be too anxious. I understand the city lord's difficulties. I wonder if you have any thoughts of changing the current situation? Wu said with a faint smile. Wu's words were very subtle, but he believed that Yin Kuan, who had been the city lord for many years, would understand. Moreover, he did not want Yin Kuan to think that he was a person who would take things by force. Although they were interested in Yinbei City, it was only for the sake of better management of the territory that they had chosen. After all, for them, if the only way to the Nightmare Forest was in their hands, then their safety factor would greatly increase. The reason why Lu Tao had revealed that they were related to the Ning family was also to let the city lord understand how big his power was. If he had chosen this place, he could still get it by force. Sure enough, after hearing Wu's words, Yin Kun's expression changed drastically, but he still remained calm and said, I naturally want to change the current situation. However, Yinbei City is, after all, left behind by our ancestors. Therefore, I can't be an unfilial descendant. Please allow me to consider it. Yin Kun's words were neither accepted nor completely rejected. They had made preliminary contact and had fully revealed their intentions to Yin Kuan. Now it was up to Yin Kuan to make his own choice. After the initial contact between the two sides, Yin Kuan personally sent Wu Green Peach back to the hotel. Of course, his incompetent eldest son was also involved. However, he did not feel distressed. After all, in his opinion, it was a good deal to sacrifice his eldest son to keep the whole family safe. After returning to the city lord's mansion, Yin Kuan locked himself in the study. Father, what happened? Yin Tao gently knocked on the door twice, then pushed it open and walked in, asking with concern. Tao, the Yin clan is in big trouble this time, Yin Kuan said with a headache. Then, he told Yin Tao about the other party's plan. Father, if the other party is really as powerful as you say, they could have killed us all and then occupied this northern Yin city. However, they did not do so, which means that they are not bloodthirsty people. After all, the lives of the Yin family are the most important. Yin Tao thought for a while and advised. Chapter 1185. The Storm at the Yin Family. 1. Tao, how can I face my ancestors like this? Besides, I've kept the position of city lord for you. Yin Kuan said with a sigh. Father, our Yin family is not even worth mentioning in the divinity. If we really anger the other party, won't the Yin family be the one to suffer? Moreover, it's not the same if we give up the city of our own accord as if they've taken it away. After all, the divine world is ruled by the strong. If we don't have the ability to defend our own territory in the eyes of others, we'll only be regarded as incompetent. And my eldest uncle has always been eyeing Northern Salt City covetously. I admit that I am not cut out to be the city lord. Rather than letting Northern Salt City fall into my eldest uncle's hands, I would rather give it to an outsider. Yin Tao was very honest. In fact, he did think so in his heart. He did not want to be trapped in this city. He loved refining weapons the most, and once he became the lord of the city, he would not be able to focus on being a weapon master. Moreover, he knew his uncle's character. His uncle had planned for many years. How could he let the meat by his mouth benefit a bastard son like him? You don't regret it? Yin Kuan watched his second son very seriously as he asked. Father, you should know that this is not my goal. Yin Tao said seriously. All right then. Then well, do as you say, AI. If Her Excellency Lung Xiaoyu is willing to accept you as a disciple, Father will be even more at ease. Yin Kuan said after thinking for a while. Dad, I'm already very satisfied that Lady Xiaoyu is willing to give me pointers. Why would I be so greedy? Yin Tao said with a smile. I was too greedy. Tao, it's rare that you can see it clearly, but you must grasp this opportunity. Remember to come to the inn more often when you're free. Yin Kuan reminded. Okay, we'll go find Her Excellency Xiaoyu tomorrow morning. Yin Tao said impatiently. In the room of the inn, Lung Ruoshu looked at Wu, who was sitting opposite her, and teased, Wu, no one took advantage of you, right? Bad girl. Do you really want me to be taken advantage of? They all asked. Why would I? Lung Ruoshu laughed evilly before asking. How do you plan to deal with the city lord's son? I want him to suffer a fate worse than death. Wu said through gritted teeth. Can I plead on his behalf? Lung Ruoshu chuckled. Please reading on MYBOX and OVEL. Of course not. Wu glared at Lung Ruoshu and said fiercely. All right then. However, I still have use for that fellow. Don't play him to death. Lung Ruoshu reminded. Yes, I know what I'm doing. Wu nodded and left the room. Not long after, Lung Ruoshu and the rest heard a series of howls coming from the room next door. The howls were so miserable that it made their hair stand on end. The howls had also attracted the attention of the inn's manager, waiters, and even the guests who were staying in the inn. Lung Ruoshu and the rest heard the noise outside and walked out of the room. When the shopkeeper saw them, he immediately came forward to welcome them and said with some difficulty, Miss, I wonder what happened in that room. It's nothing. One of my subordinates' old illness acted up again. I'm really sorry to have disturbed the other people in the shop. Lung Ruoshu looked at the people in front of her and said guiltily, may I know what illness young lattice subordinate is suffering from? The shopkeeper asked with an awkward expression. He's crazy. He's always delirious and likes to talk nonsense. He even likes to bite people when he's crazy. Lung Ruoshu explained with a smile. Arg, miss, he won't run out of the room and scare the other guests, right? When the innkeeper heard this, he couldn't help but feel a little scared. To be honest, he really wanted to ask this beautiful lady in front of him if she could ask that person to move to another place to stay. However, he didn't dare and didn't want to offend these people who didn't seem to be easy to deal with. Shopkeeper, don't be afraid. He won't run out of the room. It's just that when his illness acts up, his voice will be a little loud. However, it doesn't happen often. You can let the guests in the shop bear with it. Or you can ask them to stay in another inn. Feng to put his arm around the manager's shoulder and suggested. He'll tell them. The innkeeper said with a long face. Wu, how could he let a guest stay in another inn? Wouldn't that be sending money to others? How could he be so foolish? Long live understanding. Feng chuckled. Then, Lung Ruoshu and the rest closed the door and ignored the matter. The next day, when Yin Tao came to the door, he heard the miserable scream. The voice was familiar, but he ignored it. Instead, he went to Lung Xiaoyu and asked her for advice. That afternoon, Yin Kuan came to visit Lung Ruoshu and the others. Sitting on a chair in the living room, Yin Kuan felt a little nervous when he was faced with the probing gazes of the crowd. The young woman sitting opposite him was especially nervous. He was so nervous that he broke out in a cold sweat. Needless to say, that woman was Lung Ruoshu. This was his first time meeting Lung Ruoshu. Damn it, what was going on? Although he didn't dare to say that he was knowledgeable, there was no need for him to be so nervous and uneasy about a little girl. This was really too strange. May I know why City Lord Yin has come to visit? Lung Ruoshu asked knowingly. A few days ago, That unfilial son of mine committed a mistake. As his father, I am willing to compensate him. Therefore, I am willing to give Yinbei City to all of you." Yin Kuan carefully thought of his words and then said, "City Lord Yin, I really don't care about such a small city. In fact, I'm interested in the Nightmare Forest and want to make it my territory. However, the cities around it are the main roads into the forest, so I have to control them." Lung Ruoxue spoke the truth. Since Yin Kuan had already made his choice, there was no need for her to hide her purpose. After all, she intended to take Yin Kuan in for her own use. After hearing Lung Ruoxue's words, Yin Kuan's eyes flickered. He did not reply immediately, but seemed to be deep in thought. "Miss Lung, are you planning to take over the cities around the forest for your own use?" Yin Kuan asked after a while. "Yes, I am." Lung Ruoxue nodded. "Miss Lung, the Nightmare Forest is not a suitable place to be a territory. Otherwise, it would have been occupied by others long ago." Yin Kuan couldn't help but remind her and secretly thought, this young lady has a big appetite. He actually wanted to make that forest his territory. In fact, in the past millions of years, it was not that no one had ever tried to take that forest, but they had never succeeded. Chapter 1186. The Storm at the Yin Family. 2. Why not? Because it's dangerous? Lung Ruoxue asked with a smile. On one hand, it's dangerous. On the other hand, many forces go there every year to train and explore. If Miss Lung takes it as her private territory, I'm afraid it will cause opposition from all the major forces. At that time, Yin Kuan didn't finish his words, but he believed that the young woman in front of him would understand. I am not a person who is afraid of trouble. Since I have decided to make that place my territory, I will not change my mind. City Lord Yin, I will now give you two choices. One is to leave Yinbei City, and the other is to continue to manage the city for me. I will give you 3 days. Make your choice. Lung Ruoxue said directly. Of course, if you're willing, I can also hand over Yin'an City to you. Lung Ruoxue added. Yin Kuan was shocked, but he did not say anything. He chose to leave and said that he would give Lung Ruoxue an answer within 3 days. After seeing Yin Kuan off, Fonda looked at his lady with confusion and said, "Young lady, why are you treating Yin Kuan so differently? It's not like we can't find someone to manage this small city. I told you to mind your own business. What are you doing?" Lung Ruoxue rolled her eyes at Fonda. I don't care." Fonda waved his hand repeatedly, afraid that his young lady would give him this task. If that happened, he wouldn't be able to follow the young lady. That would really be a loss that outweighed the gain. The Yin family has been living in Yinbei and Yin'an City for at least several thousand years. They have their roots here, so of course Yin Kuan would not be willing to leave. However, for the sake of the Yin family, he easily compensated us with Yinbei City. If he continued to stay in Yinbei City, wouldn't he become the uncrowned city lord? How could I keep him here? The only chance for him to stay here is to continue to manage Yinbei City for me. In the eyes of outsiders, Yinbei City still belongs to the Yin family. We just need to be the masters behind the scenes. Lung Ruoxue explained. Her ambition was not in northern Yin City, so she would not spend too much effort on such a small city. However, she had to let Yin Kuan know that she was the true owner of northern Yin City. Will Yin Kuan agree? Fonda asked curiously. He has no reason not to agree. He has deep feelings for Yinbei City, and he has put too much effort into this city. How could he not agree? Lung Ruoxue was sure that Yin Kuan would agree to this. Therefore, she stopped paying attention to the city lord's mansion. At this time, Yin Kuan had also returned to the city lord's mansion and was sitting in his study. His mind was in turmoil. He had not expected that he could continue to be the city lord. He could even take over Yin'an City. Was this possible? Yin'an City was the main city of the Yin clan. Moreover, his elder brother would not hand over the control of the city so easily. If that was the case, wouldn't the Yin clan and Yin'an City be in trouble? One must know, looking at that Miss Lung's appearance, it was obvious that she was determined to get the few cities around the forest. Sigh, how could this be good? When he thought of this, he quickly summoned his confidant, gave him some instructions, and sent him to do something. In the bracelet, Lung Ruashua leaned into the evildoer's embrace, enjoying the rare peace and quiet. Please reading on MYB, Oxen, OVEL. Comswear it's been 2 days, but Yin Kuan still hasn't given us an answer. The demon chuckled. It doesn't matter. He'll agree sooner or later anyway. Lung Ruashua said disapprovingly. Everyone knew about the hidden heart, and Yin Kuan was no exception. In fact, Yin Kuan had sent his confidant out of the city, and her senior brother had found out about it and informed her. She had not wanted to pay attention to the Yin family situation, so she had to arrange for Qingju to observe the movements in the city lord's mansion. Sister, Qingju appeared in front of Lung Ruashua and the demon. Qingju, what's the matter? Lung Ruashua lifted her beautiful eyes and asked with a smile. Sister, some people from Yan'an City have come to the city lord's mansion. Yin Kuan is in trouble. Qingju reported. Oh, let me know when Yin Kun's life is in danger. Lung Ruashua nodded. Did sister know that Yin Kun's life would be in danger? Qingju's face was filled with surprise. He cared about the brotherhood, but unfortunately, the other party never treated him as a brother. So, he expressed the wrong feelings. This time, let's just treat it as a lesson for him. Lung Ruashua said with a smile. She was well aware of Yin Kun's intention. He wanted to persuade her brother to hand over Yan'an City so as not to bring disaster to his clan. However, if he heard this, not only would he not thank him, but it would also arouse his anger. However, since she had chosen Yin Kuan, she would not watch him be killed. At the same time, the city lord's mansion acted just as Lung Ruashua had expected. Yin Kuan looked at his elder brother, his heart filled with disappointment. Although his brother's character wasn't great, he didn't expect the other party to not care about the big picture at all. He was sending his clansmen to their deaths. Yin Kuan, how dare you collude with outsiders to betray the Yin family? The head of the Yin family roared with a righteous look. This patriarch of the Yin family was about 50 years old. Although he looked upright, his slightly gloomy eyes revealed his true nature. He was a narrow-minded and jealous villain. Family head, not only did Yin Kuan betray the Yin family, but he also handed over to the other party for a bastard. You have to seek justice for Qi. Suddenly, a sobbing middle-aged woman ran up to Patriarch Yin and began to complain. Yin Kuan, what do you have to say? The patriarch of the Yin clan asked. I have nothing to say. Since Big Brother has made up his mind, I won't say anything more. Yin Kuan, have a clear conscience to the family. Yin Kuan said indifferently. He had already done what he needed to do. Therefore, he could no longer decide what would happen to the Yin family. Men, take Yin Kuan down and punish him according to the family law. The patriarch of the Yin family shouted after hearing Yin Kun's words. They'll see who dares to move. Uncle, if you dare to touch a single hair on my father's head, I will make this woman die a terrible death. Suddenly, Yin Tao's voice rang in everyone's ears. The city lord's wife, who had been crying and complaining, was now in his hand, and the bright knife was now held against the city lord's wife's neck. Chapter 1187. The Yin Family Storm 3. Master, save me. The city lord's wife cried out in shock. Are you threatening me? The Yin family head narrowed his eyes, his heart filled with anger. He had always thought that this kid was easy to manipulate. He didn't expect that he would reach out his claws today. In that case, don't blame him for being merciless. The people of the Yin family who had come with the head of the Yin family were speechless when they saw that Yin Tao had actually grabbed their own stepmother to threaten the head. Had this Yin Tao gone crazy? He had actually grabbed their father's wife to threaten the head of the family. What was this? At this moment, they all subconsciously thought that Yin Tao had been scared silly. How would I dare to threaten Big Uncle? Big Uncle can't be like the others and think that I'm scared silly, right? Seeing the reaction of the Yin family, he could guess what they were thinking. He was not interested in this city, but he did not want it to fall into his uncle's hands. Therefore, he would rather give it to an outsider. Unfortunately, his father was too stupid. He cared about the safety of his family, but he was killed by his family. This was something he would never allow. What do you want? The patriarch of the Yin clan asked with some anger. He hated Yin Tao so much that he was grinding his teeth. All of you, leave northern Yin City immediately. This place no longer belongs to the Yin family. If Miss Lung and the others find out about this, don't even think about returning to southern Yin City alive, Yin Tao warned. Unfortunately, his words didn't scare the Yin family. On the contrary, they were united against a common enemy. What young lady Lung? Why would our Yin family be afraid of him? Someone from the Yin family said. His words resonated with the others. Not afraid? You will regret this. Yin Tao laughed coldly. He had been in contact with Lung Ruoxue and the others for a few days and was very clear about how terrifying the identities of those people were. Unfortunately, his words carried little weight and no one took his words seriously. Tao, quickly leave this place. Seeing that Yin Tao had kidnapped his wife, Yin Kuan quickly said, it didn't matter if he died, but he only had one son and he couldn't die here. Now it was obvious that the father and son were at a disadvantage. All the guards in the mansion had been subdued by his so-called elder brother. Father, if we're going to die, well, die together. I want leave here, Yin Tao said stubbornly. Tao, Yin Kuan was both angry and anxious. He knew that his son was very stubborn, but he did not expect Tao heir's temper to come up at this critical moment. Since you want to die together, I'll fulfill your wish. Hearing Yin Tao's words, the patriarch of the Yin family said coldly, Master, save me. At this time, the city lord's wife shouted again. Sister-in-law, it's not that I don't want to save you, nor do I want to kill you. If you want to blame someone, blame your own husband and this little bastard. The patriarch of the Yin clan said emotionlessly, You're the bastard, and a bastard who doesn't even let his own sister-in-law off. Yin Tao said with a look of disdain. Please reading on MYB Oxen OVEL. Calm, what nonsense are you spouting? The head of the Yin family was shocked to hear Yin Tao's words. He had always kept his dignity and had a high prestige in the family. Naturally, he did not want any scandals about himself to spread out. Then, he turned his eyes to Yin Kuan. Seeing Yin Kuan's calm face, he could not help but wonder how much Yin Kuan knew. Uncle, am I talking nonsense? However, I'm quite impressed that you could disguise yourself for so many years. Aren't you tired? Yin Tao mocked. Ani, it seems like the patriarch is planning to get rid of our family of three. Don't you have anything to say? Yin Tao looked at the panic-stricken city lord's wife and asked, Master, I've done so many things for you. How can you be so heartless? Even if you don't care about me, you have to save your son. The city lord's wife said sadly, as if she had aged 10 years in an instant. She had thought that the man she had been thinking about was here to save their son. Who knew that they were actually here to seize the city? They had waited for so many years. Could it be that they were still in a hurry? What are you talking about? Shut up. The patriarch of the Yin clan roared in anger. Hee, Big Uncle is really heartless. It seems that in your heart, your woman and son are not important. This northern Yin city is the most important. It's a pity that we have already given it away. Yin Tao chuckled. Damn it, what are you guys doing? Quickly execute these 3 traitors on the spot. The patriarch of the Yin family was furious. After he finished speaking, he released his divine power and attacked Yin Tao and the governor's wife. In an instant, several rays of colorful divine power were released from different directions at the same time, and their targets were all Yin Tao and the city lord's wife. Tao, be careful. After Yin Kuan blocked the divine skill that was aimed at him, he saw several divine powers flying toward his son. He immediately shouted nervously. However, his warning was still too late. Yin Tao's hand was holding the city lord's wife, so his reaction was much slower than usual. Those divine skills were extremely fast, and in the blink of an eye, they arrived in front of Yin Tao and hit him and the city lord's wife. Tao, seeing Yin Tao fall to the ground, Yin Kun's heart ached. The hatred in his heart was ignited in an instant. He had endured for many years so that Tao could grow up safely. However, he did not expect that today he would still watch his only son die. At this moment, his heart was full of regret. Why did he have to send the message to the other party on account of the relationship between his clan? Originally, he wanted to avoid the casualties of his clansmen, but he didn't expect that these so-called clansmen would turn around and deal with him. He gave up. Tower was right, they were not worth it. He'll send you and your father to hell, to reunite, the Yin family head said coldly. Then, he waved a knife in his hand and slashed at Yin Kun. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning struck the saber in his hand. Then, an angry roar rang in everyone's ears. You killed my mother, and going to kill you. Suddenly, everyone saw Yin Qi holding a sword in his hand and stabbing straight at the head of the Yin family. However, Yin Qi had been ignorant and incompetent since he was a child. Naturally, he was no match for the head of the Yin family. In just one round, Yin Qi was knocked to the ground, then spat out blood and passed out. It's said that even a vicious tiger would not eat its cubs. It seems that the head of the Yin family is even worse than a wild beast. A faint mocking voice rang out. At this moment, the crowd finally noticed that there were still people beside Yin Qi. It was a pity that their attention was all on Yin Qi, hence they did not notice the presence of these people. In fact, this was also because Lung Ruoxue and the others had deliberately reduced their presence. Who are you people? This is the Yin clan's family matter, so it's best if you don't meddle in other people's business. Offending our Yin clan in this northern Yin city will not do you any good. The head of the Yin family looked at Lung Ruoxue and the rest warily and warned them. Yin family head, are you planning to kill us? Lung Ruoxue understood. She really didn't understand what was there to fight over between two small cities. They were actually trying to kill each other, even though they were not born from the same mother. After observing in the dark for a while and using her mind-reading technique, Lung Ruoxue was able to sort out the grudge between the two brothers. It was nothing more than the former head of the Yin family giving Yinbei City to the illegitimate son, which had caused the dissatisfaction of the first wife's son. Therefore, the first wife's son, who was the current head of the Yin family, had tried his best to take back Yinbei City. However, he had not expected that his plan of many years would be ruined by her. Yin Kun had even advised his brother to be sensible and hand over the control of Yinnan City to avoid bringing disaster to the family. This had angered the head of the Yin family. However, who could say that Yin Kun did not do it on purpose? However, he didn't expect that the head of the Yin family would be even angrier than he had imagined. At the same time, he had also brought disaster upon himself. So what if I kill you? Yinbei City is our Yin clan's territory. The Yin clan head said disapprovingly. Miss Lung. Yin Kun wanted to say something, but stopped. The hatred on his face was obvious. You are the young lady Lung who wanted to take over the Yin clan's city. The patriarch of the Yin family narrowed his eyes and said angrily, doesn't this world respect the strong? There's nothing wrong with me taking a fancy to your city. Lung Ruoxue said with a faint smile. It was obvious that she wanted to anger him to death. You will regret provoking the Yin family. The Yin clan head said furiously. Oh, really? But we've already provoked him. What else can we do? Lung Ruoxue shrugged her shoulders and said nonchalantly, everyone in the Yin family, hear my order. Kill all these people who want to take the Yin family's property. The head of the Yin family ordered angrily. The Yin family members he had brought with him swarmed forward. Feng De and the others, who had been waiting impatiently, accepted the challenge. In an instant, both sides were in a chaotic battle. However, in the blink of an eye, the Yin family was annihilated, leaving the patriarch of the Yin family alone. Lung Ruoxue looked at the Yin family head with a half-smile and asked, Patriarch Yin, I'm sorry, but you're all alone now. What do you plan to do? While Lung Ruoxue was speaking, Feng De and the rest surrounded the Yin family head. Don't do anything stupid. I'm the patriarch of the Yin family. The patriarch of the Yin clan said with some fear. Lung Ruoxue didn't even look at the Yin family head. She immediately released a red divine force and sent it flying towards him. In an instant, the Yin family head spat out a mouthful of blood and half knelt on the ground. Miss Lung, can you hand him over to me? At this time, Yin Kun pleaded, his face full of shame. Sure. Lung Ruoxue was very generous. She had no interest in being the Yin family head, so she was naturally happy to do Yin Kuan a favor. "Thank you, Miss Lung," Yin Kuan said gratefully. Then he picked up the sword on the ground and stabbed it into the body of the Yin family's patriarch. This was what he had wanted to do for a long time. Unfortunately, he could not bring himself to do it. Now that his only son had died in the hands of his elder brother, he had no more worries. "Miss, Yin Tao seems to still be breathing." Fengde, who was cleaning up the scene, suddenly said. "What?" Yin Kuan, who had just killed his enemy, was disheartened. However, after hearing Fengde's words, he immediately ran to Yin Tao's side and checked his breath. "He's indeed angry. Miss Lung, I beg you to save my son. I'm willing to do anything for you and acknowledge you as my master." Tao Er's injuries were too severe and couldn't be treated with ordinary healing medicine. That was why he had to seek help from Lung Ruoxue in this desperate situation. "Feed him this pill." Lung Ruoxue took out a white pill from her ring and handed it to Yin Kuan. Chapter 1188. Linjiang City 1. Thank you, Miss. Yin Kuan took the elixir and was surprised to find that the elixir was flowing with a seven-colored light. He could tell that it was extraordinary at first glance. Therefore, he stuffed the elixir into his son's mouth without hesitation. Not long after, Yin Tao slowly woke up. When he saw Yin Kuan, who was covered in blood, in front of him, his tears immediately flowed out and he cried out, "Father, why are you also?" Yin Tao could not finish his sentence. Yin Kuan looked at his son and chided him. "Silly boy, why are you crying? We're not dead yet." "Arg, really?" Yin Tao's face was full of surprise. He thought he was dead for sure, but now that he knew he was still alive, his mood of ups and downs was really bad. "Tao, it was Miss Lung who saved us," Yin Kuan said with embarrassment. If he didn't care about the friendship of his clan, this kind of thing wouldn't have happened in the city lord's mansion. At this moment, only the word regret could express his feelings. "Thank you for saving my life, Miss Lung," Yin Tao said gratefully. "Young Lady Lung, I'm willing to represent the Yin clan and recognize you as our master," Yin Kuan said. "Can City Lord Yin represent the entire clan?" Lung Ruoxue asked with a smile. "The branch of Yin'an City has suffered countless casualties. Now that they're a group of dragons without a leader, it is the best time to subdue them. As the head of the Yin family, after the head's death, I will naturally be the head of the family. Therefore, I can make the decision," Yin Kuan said confidently. In his generation, he and the patriarch had the highest prestige. Now that the patriarch was dead and those who could oppose him had gone with the patriarch, who could stop him? If that's the case, then you and your father will follow Feng to conquer the Yin family in Yin'an City. Those who submit will prosper, and those who resist will perish. Don't disappoint me," Lung Ruoxue said indifferently. "Miss, don't worry. Yin Kuan knows what to do," Yin Kuan promised. After a while, the father and son of the Yin family followed Fengde and the others to Yin'an City, while Lung Ruoxue and the others returned to the inn. In the inn, "Shuer, can we trust this Yin Kuan father and son?" Lung Qingtian asked worriedly. Yin Kuan had brought this upon himself, so he didn't feel any sympathy for him. Please reading on MYB Oxen OVEL. Calm, Grandpa, don't worry. He has already given up on the Yin clan in Yin'an City. I have also saved his precious son, so he naturally has to perform well this time, Lung Ruoxue said. "I hope so. However, if he dares to play any tricks, I will definitely not let him off." Lung Qingtian huffed. Hee, Grandfather, he doesn't have the guts. Even if he did, I wouldn't be afraid, Lung Ruoxue said confidently. That's good. Lung Qingtian was very assured of his granddaughter. 3 days later, Fengde and Yin Kuan had finished dealing with the matters in southern Yin City and returned to northern Yin City. In the living room, Fengde was reporting to Lung Ruoxue about the situation in Yin'an City. Yin Kuan and his son were standing beside him. After Fengde was done reporting, the father and son knelt down together and swore by their bloodline that they would forever be loyal to Lung Ruoxue and would never betray her. After the contract was over, the Yin family had officially become Lung Ruoxu's subordinates. Since the two cities of Yin Bei and Yin Nan had been united, Yin Kuan was still the city lord. However, other than himself and some of Master Ning's subordinates, no one knew that Yin Kuan and the others had already belonged to Lung Ruoxue. Their next plan was to conquer Netherwind, Willow, and Linjiang. Miss, I'm a good friend of the city lord of the Dark Wind City, and I also have business dealings with Fuliu City. Why don't you let this subordinate try out these two cities? Yin Kuan quickly said after knowing the next step of the plan. All right, I'll leave these two cities to you. Lung Ruoxue nodded. She knew that Yin Kuan was eager to show off, so she was happy to give him a chance. Please wait for the good news, miss. Yin Kuan turned around and left. Half a month later, Yin Kuan had brought back two people. They were none other than Ming Feng and the city lord of Fuliu City. The first thing Yin Kuan did when he returned to Yanbei City was to bring them to the inn to see Lung Ruoxue. In the guest room of the inn, the two of them sat on the chair with Yin Kuan. They looked at Lung Ruoxue uneasily and were so nervous that they could not speak. Yin Kuan was also deeply affected by this scene because he was also very nervous when he first met Lung Ruoxue. Yin Kuan has told you my conditions, right? Submit to me, and you'll help me manage Dark Wind and Willow trees. You'll become my subordinates, and I'll naturally not mistreat you. Lung Ruoxue was the first to speak. Miss Lung, City Lord Yin has already spoken to us. After some discussion, we are willing to acknowledge you as our master. However, our family now has an enemy who is also eyeing Dark Wind City like a tiger watching its prey. So, I'm afraid that acknowledging you as our master now will only bring trouble to you, Miss Lung. The city lord of the Dark North Wind City, Qi Mu, said with a troubled expression. In fact, he really wanted Miss Lung to help him eliminate his enemies, but he couldn't bring himself to say it. Moreover, he was also afraid that this devastatingly beautiful young lady would not be a match for his enemy. In reality, he still did not know Lung Ruoxu's true strength. Yin Kuan did not tell him in detail either. He only told him that Miss Lung was very powerful and it would not be wrong to acknowledge her as his master. At the same time, he was in a situation where he was trapped inside and outside. There were tigers and wolves outside, and his clansmen were in a state of panic. Hence, he had no choice but to agree to acknowledge her as his master. What's going on? Lung Ruoxue asked calmly, her beautiful eyes sizing up Qi Mu. This city lord of Dark Wind City looked to be in his 40s, but he had an honest look on his face. He was an upright person. A few days ago, my clan's team that went to the Nightmare Forest for training accidentally discovered a heavenly treasure. I don't know how, but the news somehow reached the enemy's ears. The other party wanted to buy it by force, but I naturally refused. Therefore, the two sides were in a stalemate. In recent days, our Qi clan's clansmen have been injured or killed for no reason, which made me suspicious. After investigation, I found out that it was the enemy's doing. Qi Mu said angrily, the enemy's family is very powerful on the godly mainland. My Qi family is just a small family. Of course, we're not their match. Qi Mu added, he had agreed to the master's request only because he wanted to seek protection. However, after seeing Lung Ruoxue, he was a little hesitant. Could such a delicate young lady protect their Qi family? He did not want to implicate Lung Ruoxue because of the Qi family's disaster. Chapter 1189, Linjiang City, 2. Is your enemy from the 8 great divine regions? Lung Ruoxue chuckled as she asked. No. After hearing Lung Ruoxu's words, Qi Mu's forehead was full of cold sweat. He thought to himself, if the other party is from the 8 great divine regions, no matter how unwilling I am, I would have to hand over the treasure with both hands. Moreover, the other party's purpose is not just this. What's there to be afraid of? Lung Ruoxue replied nonchalantly. In reality, even if the other party was from the 8 great divine regions, she was not afraid. Qi Mu was confused. Was he worrying for nothing? Qi Mu, since you're willing to recognize me as your master, your enemies are naturally mine as well. I'll take care of them for you. Lung Ruoxua laughed. Thank you, miss. I, Chimu, would like to represent the Chi family and recognize you as our master. Chimu quickly said. Then, he sent a blood contract to show his loyalty. After recognizing her as his master, the big stone in his heart was finally lifted. Since Miss said that she would take care of the enemy for him, he had nothing to worry about. After dealing with Chimu, Lung Ruoxu's beautiful eyes turned towards the city lord of Fuliu City. She smiled and asked, City Lord Liu, do you have any difficulties? Why don't you tell me? This subordinate does not have any difficulties. City Lord Liu Yong hurriedly said, as if he was a subordinate. The Liu family was in a state of decline, so he wanted to find a backer. It just so happened that Lung Ruoxua had sent Yin Kuan to negotiate with him. He had known Yin Kuan for many years, and they were in a cooperative relationship. Therefore, he naturally trusted Yin Kun's judgment. After discussing with the clan members, he decided to recognize Lung Ruoxua as his master. Following which, Liu Yong also issued a bloodline contract, officially acknowledging Lung Ruoxua as his master. After subduing 2 more cities, Lung Ruoxua's only target was Linjiang City. However, Lung Ruoxua wasn't in a hurry to take over Linjiang City. Instead, she planned to strengthen the defenses of the 4 cities that she had already taken over. Hence, she decided to add a defensive formation to each of the 4 cities. With the city lord's residence as the core of the defensive formation, its defensive capabilities would naturally be multiplied. After spending close to a month's time, Lung Ruoxua had set up a defensive formation in 4 cities. The group then headed to the last city around the Nightmare Forest that had not been conquered, Linjiang City. Linjiang City was located to the north of the Nightmare Forest. It was the largest city out of the 5, but it was not the most prosperous. The public security in Linjiang City was very poor. There were all sorts of people in the city. When Lung Ruoxua and the others walked on the streets, they would see fights happening from time to time. Please reading on MYB Oxen OVEL. Commiss, the governor of Linjiang City, is muddle-headed and incompetent. He's not someone worth subduing. Yin Kuan, who had accompanied Lung Ruoxua and the others to Linjiang City, said, Oh, let's wait and see. Lung Ruoxua said calmly. If the governor of Linjiang City was as Yin Kuan had said, she would naturally choose another governor. The crowd immediately found a hotel. However, when they asked for the price, they were all shocked. How much do you think a night is worth? Feng Dia's eyes were wide open as he asked in disbelief. 1 night's stay will cost 1 top-grade crystal stone. The inn manager said as he rolled his eyes at Feng De. He was secretly lamenting in his heart. Looking at the clothes of these people, they were clearly poor, so he naturally did not intend to entertain them well. Why is it so expensive? Is there anything special about your inn? Feng De looked at the decorations in the inn and found that they were quite ordinary, but the price was shockingly high. No, if you want to stay, pay up quickly. If you don't want to stay, please leave. Don't delay my business. There are so many people in Linjiang City now, I don't have to worry about not having enough people to stay in my inn. The inn manager said confidently, Why are there so many people in Linjiang City? Lung Ruhan could not help but ask. On the street, Yin Kuan had said that there seemed to be more people in Linjiang City than usual. As for why, he did not know either. Now that the inn manager had said the same thing, he naturally wanted to ask. Don't tell me that you're not here for the city lord's daughter to choose a husband. The inn manager asked in disbelief. We're not. We just arrived at Linjiang City today. Lung Ruhan said honestly. He could not understand. Linjiang City was not that big. If the governor's daughter wanted to find a husband, was there a need for so many people to come? Then you've come to the right place. Our city lord is looking for a son-in-law for his daughter, so you should quickly go and register. Today is the last day. The shopkeeper reminded. Why do we need to register? Fonda didn't understand. Whoever marries the city lord's daughter will be the next city lord of Riverbank City. Such a good thing is like a pie falling from the sky. If it wasn't for the fact that I didn't meet the requirements, I would have signed up for it long ago. The shopkeeper said with a face full of regret. Fonda was speechless. He was deeply ashamed of the shopkeeper's thoughts. He couldn't understand why so many men would covet a mere city lord's daughter. Could it be that men nowadays have fallen to the point where they need to rely on women to achieve success? One had to know that he looked down on men who lived off women the most. Do you guys want to stay here or not? Don't delay my business. The shopkeeper couldn't help but ask. Of course we're staying. Get us a room. Lung Ruoxue said. All right. Hearing Lung Ruoxue's words, the shopkeeper immediately beamed with joy. His expression changed so quickly that Fonda and the others looked down on him. After entering the room, Lung Ruoxue took a look at Fonda and the rest. She could not help but tease. Whoever wants to be the son-in-law of Linjiang City can go and register. Today is the last day. Miss, don't joke with us. We want sign up, Lin Yuan said with a bitter face. Not to mention that they still didn't know whether the daughter of Linjiang City was round or flat. Even if she was an absolute beauty, they didn't want to live off a woman. Hee, you guys do as you please. And go to rest. After Lung Ruoxue finished speaking, she pulled the evildoer into the room. Fonda and the others had nothing to do, so they took Yin Kuan as a guide and went for a walk on the street. They didn't return from the streets until evening. When they saw Lung Ruoxue, Fonda and the rest could not wait to tell her what they had seen and heard on the street. Young miss, we went to the city lord's mansion today. Before Fonda could finish his sentence, he was interrupted by Lung Ruoxue. Chapter 1190. Linjiang City 3. Are you going to register? Lung Ruoxue asked with an evil smile. Of course not. We're just going to watch the show. The people who are registering in front of the city lord's mansion are lined up for almost 2 streets. I really couldn't tell that the daughter of the governor of Linjiang City is so attractive. Fonda said, speechless. Those people aren't after the city governor's daughter, so they don't care what she looks like. Lung Ruoxue said, My lady, the governor of Linjiang City is named Jiang Fan. He is a greedy and lecherous man. Although he has many wives and concubines, he only has one daughter. However, I really don't understand. With the long lifespans of cultivators, why is he in such a hurry to find a husband for his only daughter? Yin Kuan asked with a puzzled look. You don't have to understand. This has nothing to do with us. Our target is Linjiang City. Therefore, we just have to find a way to make Linjiang City our own. Lung Ruoxue said disapprovingly. Miss, why don't we just snatch it? Lin Yuan suggested. Then aren't we bandits? Lung Ruoxue retorted. Lin Yuan was speechless. Could it be that Miss is still counting on the city lord of Linjiang City to hand over Linjiang City? There's no rush. Let's observe for a few more days. Lung Ruoxue was very calm. Then she ordered Yin Kuan, go to the city lord's mansion tomorrow and see that Jiang Fan. Find out what his purpose is. Yes, Yin Kuan replied. The next day, Yin Kuan brought Fonda to the city lord's mansion. With his status as the city lord of Yanbei City, the Jiang family's steward invited him into the city lord's mansion with great respect. After sitting in the living room for a while, Jiang Fan appeared. City lord, Yin has come to visit. Please forgive me for not welcoming you. Jiang Fan said very politely. Jiang Fan looked to be around 50 years old. He was slightly chubby, had ordinary facial features, and his steps were a little weak. It was obvious that he was addicted to beauty all year round. Please reading on MYB Oxen OVEL. City Lord Jiang is too polite. Actually, I was just passing by, so I came to see you. Yin Kuan said. In fact, he and Jiang Fan were only acquaintances who nodded at each other. It was a bit far-fetched to say so. Jiang Fan nodded and didn't think much about it. City Lord Jiang, after I entered the city, I heard that you were going to choose a husband for your daughter. You even promised to give the city lord's position as a betrothal gift? Yin Kuan asked out of curiosity. Yep, I should also find her a husband, and I can't sit on this city lord position forever. I have to find a successor. Jiang Fan said matter-of-factly, and his words were also reasonable, so no one could find any fault with them. Why didn't City Lord Jiang pass the position of City Lord to his daughter? Wouldn't this mean that the Jiang family still owns the city? Yin Kuan suggested. At the same time, he was testing the waters. Even if it's passed down to my son-in-law, Linjiang City will still be the Jiang family's. I won't let Linjiang City fall into the hands of outsiders. Jiang Fan said confidently. City Lord Jiang, don't blame me for being meddlesome. I always feel that even if a man married into the family, he might not be of the same heart as Miss Jiang. So, passing the city lord's position to his son-in-law is really not a safe choice. If that man has other thoughts, City Lord Jiang would be raising an ungrateful wolf. Yin Kuan said worriedly. He didn't forget to observe Jiang Fan's reaction as he spoke. When he saw Jiang Fan only frowning slightly, the doubt in his heart deepened. I've also thought about City Lord Yan's considerations, but my daughter is not cut out to be a city lord. I have no choice. Jiang Fan said with a depressed look. Then City Lord Jiang should open your eyes wide and choose carefully. Yin Kuan reminded. City Lord Yin, don't worry. I still have good judgment. Jiang Fan nodded seriously. After a while, Yin Kuan and Fonda left. On the way back to the inn, Yin Kuan looked at Fonda and couldn't help but ask, what do you think? Isn't the official selection of son-in-law 3 days later? Well, no, when we go and take a look. Fonda said with a smile. He didn't care who the son-in-law of the Jiang family was, but he didn't mind watching the show. 3 days passed by quickly. On the day of the selection, Lung Ruoxue and the rest arrived early. As the selection of his son-in-law was open to the public, Jiang Fan had specially ordered people to build a stage in the most lively city center. He had even posted a thread to the famous people of Linjiang City, inviting them to be judges. As the city lord of Yanbei City, Yin Kuan was naturally among the invited. As a judge, Yin Kuan naturally had to sit in the judge's seat. As Yin Kuan's companions, Lung Ruoxue and the others also got better seats. It was said that there were thousands of men who had signed up this time. After an initial screening by the city lord's office, only the most outstanding 200 were left, and the son-in-law of the Linjiang city lord would be chosen from these 200. The selection was divided into 3 days. The first day's process was mainly self-introduction and the display of their best talents. Finally, the judges would decide the 100 men who could participate in the second day's selection. After the 200 men had finished their self-introductions, Green Peach asked quietly, Miss, who will win? I don't know, Lung Ruoxue said uninterestedly. She didn't think that Jiang Fan would use the process of a beauty pageant to choose a husband for his daughter. It seemed like he placed a lot of importance on the selection of a husband. I'm quite optimistic about that, number 3. Lu Tao said with a smile. Because I'm handsome. Lung Ruoxue understood. Number 3 had a handsome face, and it was indeed very easy for women to be attracted to his appearance at first glance. However, he was a restless man, so Lung Ruoxue did not have a good impression of number 3. Yep, it's only pleasing to the eye when you're handsome, Lu Tao said, unafraid of death. What's the use of being handsome? He's just a pretty boy. When Fonda heard Lu Tao's words, he said with jealousy burning in his heart. He knew that Lu Tao was deliberately angering him because he was very curious about the appearance of the city lord's daughter. How is it useless? It's good to see it, Lu Tao said in an unpleasant tone. Green Peach. Fonda looked at Green Peach pitifully. His expression was as aggrieved as he could be. Chapter 1191. Linjiang City. For Miss, today's selection has ended. Let's go back. Lu Tao ignored Feng Da's pitiful act and said to Lung Ruoxue, Yes. Lung Ruoxue smiled and nodded. Following that, everyone returned to the inn. Lung Ruoxue and the rest did not go to watch the competition on the second day. After all, they had seen all the candidates and they were not very interested in who would win. On the last day, Lung Ruoxue and the rest left the inn and went to the selection venue. After 2 days of selection, there were only 20 candidates left. These 20 people could be considered as 1 in 10,000 elites. Whether it was their appearance or cultivation, they were the best among the applicants. After 2 rounds of demonstration, only 10 of these 20 people were left, and number 3, who Green Peach had a better view of, was naturally among them. Immediately after, the host of this election invited the city lord's daughter out. As it turned out, as the most outstanding candidates, the last obstacle that the 10 of them had to pass was to gain the favor of the castellan's daughter. To put it bluntly, it was up to the castellan's daughter to decide who she fancied. Whoever she fancied would be the future governor of Linjiang City. Lu Tao and the others who were sitting below the stage stretched their necks to see the true face of the city governor's daughter. However, after waiting for a long time, they still did not see a woman walking up the stage. "Miss, the city lord's daughter is so haughty," Lu Tao said with a dissatisfied expression. She's a girl. Of course, I have to be more reserved." Lung Ruoshua laughed evilly. As soon as she finished speaking, someone in the audience shouted that the castellan's daughter had arrived. Instantly, everyone's eyes were drawn to her. Not long after, everyone saw a moving round ball rolling up the stage. The reason why she rolled was because the city lord's daughter accidentally fell down when she was walking up the stage. Coupled with her slightly fat figure, she rolled directly to the feet of the male candidates. When everyone saw this scene, they couldn't help but laugh in their hearts. The appearance of the city lord's daughter is quite special. Lu Tao was speechless. No wonder the governor of Linjiang City was in such a hurry to choose a husband for his daughter, and even used Linjiang City as a betrothal gift. Without Linjiang City, it would not be easy for the daughter of the governor to get married. When the city governor's daughter crawled up from the ground, everyone saw her appearance even more clearly, and instantly, the people present couldn't help but retch. Please reading on MYB Oxen OVEL. Fuck, is he even human? Not only was she fat, but she was also so ugly. What was even more unbearable was that she was drooling as she stared at the 10 men on the stage with a dazed expression. When the 10 men saw the appearance of the city governor's daughter, 4 of them immediately expressed their intention to forfeit and withdraw from the competition. In the blink of an eye, there were only 6 candidates left on the stage, and they had been hesitating. The city lord's daughter was a little disappointed that 4 beautiful men had left, but when she remembered that she still had 6 choices, she immediately became elated. However, before she could be happy, 3 more men who were hesitating announced that they had forfeited. The city governor's daughter looked at the 3 remaining men on the stage and pointed her finger without hesitation, choosing her future husband. The man she chose was number 3, whom Green Peach had a better opinion of. When the other 2 men saw this, they seemed to be relieved and walked down the stage in high spirits. In fact, if they were not from Linjiang City, they would have forfeited as well. However, when they thought of the authority of the city lord, they had no choice but to stand on the stage and let the city lord's daughter choose. Seeing that his daughter had made her choice, Jiang Fan happily walked up to the stage and announced the identity of the 3rd man as the future city lord. Then, he decided to hold a banquet in the city lord's mansion to celebrate and invited all the citizens in the city to attend. However, Lung Ruoshue and the others were not interested in this, so they went back to the inn. The next morning, Lung Ruoshue and the others went to the restaurant to have breakfast. The moment they entered the restaurant, they heard some guests whispering. Although their voices were very soft, they still managed to make their way into their ears. "What were you guys talking about?" Lung Ruoshue pretended to be confused and asked. Faced with such a beautiful woman's question, the 2 men who were talking immediately replied politely, "Young miss still doesn't know. Something happened in the city lord's mansion yesterday, and many people died." The person who spoke had a face full of regret, but at the same time, there was a trace of relief. Wasn't yesterday a good day for the city lord's daughter to choose her husband? Lung Ruoshua probed. Yup, it was supposed to be a happy occasion, but in the end, it became a funeral. Sigh, it's really too pitiful. None of the people who went to the city lord's mansion for the banquet yesterday were spared, and the city lord's family was completely annihilated. The man said, Chapter 1192, Yuan Shi 1. How could this be? Then wouldn't Linjiang City be a group of dragons without a leader? Lung Ruoxue asked worriedly. I don't think so. The future city lord is still alive, even though he's heavily injured. The man said with an envious look. The future city lord? Didn't he not marry the city lord's daughter yet? Would the people of Linjiang City allow him to be the city lord? Lung Ruoxue's beautiful face was filled with confusion as she asked. I think so. After all, the future city lord was personally appointed by the city lord himself. There's no one else in Linjiang City who's suitable for this position. The man said after thinking for a moment. Oh, after a simple chat and getting to the bottom of what they wanted to know, Lung Ruoxue and the rest had a simple meal and returned to the living room. After returning, everyone could not help but ask the question in their hearts. Miss, it's only been one night. How did all the people in the city lord mansion die out? It's so strange. Fonda said in surprise. It's a good thing I didn't go to the city lord's mansion yesterday. Otherwise, I would have been one of the people who died today. Yin Kuan said fearfully. Old Yin, you've saved your life. It seems like you can't eat random things. Fonda patted Yin Kun's shoulder and consoled him with a smile. Yup. Yin Kuan wiped the cold sweat from his forehead. He was obviously shocked. Who said that all the people in the city lord's mansion are dead? Isn't the former city lord's new son-in-law still alive? Lung Ruoxue chuckled as she reminded him. Everyone was speechless. They weren't fools and could easily figure out the hidden trick in this matter. Fonda, take some men with you to check the situation. Also, check if there are any other surviving members of the Jiang family. Lung Ruoxue thought for a moment and ordered. Yes, miss. Yes, master, Fonda replied. Then, he left the inn with Lin Yuan and the others. After 3 days of secret investigation, Fonda and the others confirmed that no one survived in the city lord's mansion. However, it was said that the dead Jiang fan had a younger brother. However, that younger brother made a mistake decades ago and was exiled to the countryside of Linjiang City to fend for himself. Please reading on MYB Oxen OVEL. Come after that. Lung Ruoxue sent Fonda and the rest to look for her clan brother. 2 days later, Jiang Fan's younger brother was brought back by Fonda and the others. In the living room, Lung Ruoxue's beautiful eyes were observing her clan brother. She saw that he had a nervous expression and did not even dare to raise his head. Furthermore, his clothes were torn and tattered, and his strength was not high. He was only at the initial level of deity. From the looks of it, he did not have a good life. The moment she saw him, Lung Ruoxue knew that he couldn't have been the one behind the incident at the city lord residence. Firstly, he didn't have the ability to do so. Secondly, he didn't have such a powerful influence. You're Jiang Nuo? Lung Ruoxue asked despite knowing the answer. Yes, I'm Jiang Nuo. Jiang Nuo whispered. You should know about Jiang Fan's matter, right? Lung Ruoxue asked indifferently. Yes, Captain Feng has told me about it. Jiang Nuo quickly replied. Do you know what I want you to do? Lung Ruoxue asked with a smile. Miss, are you planning to let me replace you? Jiang Nuo asked carefully, his heart pounding. Could there be such a good thing? He didn't dare to believe it. That's right. I need Linjiang City and someone to help me manage it. So, you must recognize me as your master, and I will help you get Linjiang City. Lung Ruoxue stated her conditions. Good. However, on my way to the city, I heard that there's a new city lord in Linjiang City. I'm afraid. Jiang Nuo was a little worried and did not finish his sentence. You're a member of the Jiang family. That person ISNT. Lung Ruoxue said with a smile. Then I'll listen to Miss. Jiang Nuo promised. He then issued the bloodline contract and officially recognized Lung Ruoxue as his master. All right, go and have a good rest now. He'll ask Fonda to help you take back Linjiang City tomorrow. Lung Ruoxue said indifferently. Yes, this subordinate will take his leave. Jiang Nuo said as he turned around and left the living room. He's really lucky. This is a meat pie that fell from the sky. Fonda sighed. None of you like to eat pies, so I'll have to find someone else. Lung Ruoxue rolled her eyes at Fonda and said helplessly. Hee hee. Fonda laughed awkwardly. Miss, Jiang Fan has forced Jiang Nuo to the countryside to fend for himself for decades. Can he manage Linjiang City well? Yin Kuan said worriedly. Don't worry, he'll be fine, Lung Ruoxue said with certainty. If it wasn't for the fact that he had scruples about his clan brother's abilities, Jiang Fan wouldn't have found an excuse to dismiss him. She was very clear that Jiang Nuo was still holding a grudge in his heart. She had given Jiang Nuo this good opportunity, and he would definitely seize it. The next morning, accompanied by Feng De and the others, Jiang Nuo headed to the City Lord's mansion. When they arrived at the City Lord's mansion, the crowd killed number 3 and his subordinates with lightning speed. Then, they announced to the public that Jiang Nuo was the only member of the Jiang family and would be the next City Lord of Linjiang City. The people in the city were in an uproar. However, due to Feng De and the others' ruthless methods, no one dared to raise any objections. At the same time, Feng De showed evidence of number 3 killing Jiang Fan and the others, which aroused the public's anger. Jiang Nuo's ascension to the City Lord's position was even more successful. Miss, it's done. After taking care of everything, Feng De rushed back to the inn alone. Well, there might be people walking into the trap in the next few days. You have to be more vigilant at night. Lung Ruoxue nodded as she reminded. Don't worry, miss. We've already set up an inescapable net and are just waiting for the fish to take the bait. Feng De laughed evilly. For the next few days, they would stay with Jiang Nuo in the City Lord's mansion and deal with those who had bad intentions. However, after waiting for a few days, there was still no movement from the City Lord's mansion. On the other hand, Jiang Nuo was getting more and more familiar with the affairs of Linjiang City. In the room of the inn, Lung Ruoxue leaned against the window and looked at the pitch-black night sky. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled in the sky, and it looked like it was about to rain. She couldn't help but smile and turn to the demon. Today is a good day to do bad things. Hee. This kind of weather can indeed make people lower their guard, but I don't like to do bad things in the rain. The demon said with a look of disdain. Even if you don't like it, it doesn't mean that others don't like it. The City Lord's mansion is very lively now. Let's go and take a look. Lung Ruoxue laughed evilly. She had just received Qing Ju's voice transmission and knew that there was a guest at the City Lord's mansion. Chapter 1193. Yuan Shi 2. Let's go. The demon smiled helplessly and left the inn with Lung Ruoxue. Naturally, those who wish for the world to be in chaos also left with them. When they arrived at the City Lord's residence, Lung Ruoxue saw Feng De and his men in black fighting with a group of men in black. The number of men in black was more than twice that of Feng De and his men. Isn't this bullying the few with numbers? It's so unfair. When Lung Ruoxue saw this scene, she said with slight dissatisfaction. When Cheng Wu heard his latest words, the corner of his mouth twitched. He thought to himself, why do I feel like this is bullying the many with the few? From the looks of Feng De and the others, they were clearly having a great time killing. No, he had to join the fun. When he thought of this, he took the initiative to help Lung Ruoxue before she could say anything. Seeing that Cheng Wu had joined the battle, Song Di and the rest did not want to be outdone and rushed into the battlefield. In an instant, the situation turned into a one-sided battle. When Feng De and the rest, who were having fun bullying the many with their numbers, saw this situation, they could not help but shout as if they were protecting their food. Don't fight with us. These people are ours. Hee. Whoever sees it gets a share. Cheng Wu and the rest laughed evilly. As the blade in their hands fell, the man in black instantly fell to the ground and lost his life. Yin Kuan and Jiang Nuo, who weren't very clear about their fighting strength, couldn't help but widen their eyes when they saw this scene. They secretly thought to themselves, these people are so ruthless. AI, how did the unlucky man in black end up in their hands? At this moment, they felt a deep sense of sympathy for the group of men in black who had unknown origins. Not long after, most of the men in black were eliminated. However, Feng De and the others still kept one alive and locked the remaining man in black in the prison of the City Lord's mansion for a good interrogation. With the ownership of Linjiang City, The 5 cities surrounding the Nightmare Forest were now in Lung Ruoxu's possession. After setting up a defensive formation for Linjiang City, Lung Ruoxue and the rest headed towards the forest. Sitting on the little peacock, Lung Ruoxu's beautiful eyes surveyed the 3 towering peaks. She chose a relatively flat mountain as the main peak for her group. Sure, the environment here is really good, hee. I'm going to build a house here too. They'll come over to stay when I'm free. Master Ning looked at the lush green scenery in front of him and was in a good mood. Godfather, you can come and live here anytime you want. Lung Ruoxue reminded him helplessly. She couldn't help but mutter to herself, did this old man think that I wouldn't let him stay here? Hee, are you the master? Of course, I have to say hello to you. Master Ning said matter-of-factly. In fact, he was just being polite because he knew that little Shui would not refuse him. Godfather, I can't be considered the owner of this place yet. Lung Ruoxue reminded him. To own a territory wasn't something that could be considered as one's own. One had to obtain the acknowledgement of half of the factions on the godly mainland. Otherwise, the territory wouldn't truly belong to one's own. If I say it is, then it is. They'll see who dares to object. Master Ning's eyes widened, and he roared aggressively. He didn't believe that anyone would dare to oppose his precious goddaughter's decision to take a piece of land. Please reading on MYB Oxen OVEL. Calm. Godfather, let's just build a house first. Lung Ruoxue wiped away the cold sweat on her forehead and changed the topic. All right, but Shui, I'm telling the truth. Master Ning reminded. Yes. Lung Ruoxue agreed helplessly. However, with Godfather around, there wouldn't be too many people who would object. Miss, the wood has been cut. At this moment, Fonda came back and said, Come on, let's do it. Lung Ruoxue took out a few blueprints from her bracelet and passed them to Fonda. Back in Linjiang City, she had drawn up a few blueprints based on everyone's opinions. The house they were going to build, the courtyard, and the interior of the house was similar to the house in the water margin continent. This request was naturally to satisfy her grandfather's homesickness, but there were also new things added, so it was not exactly the same. The location they chose as the main residence was located halfway up the mountain. It was an unusually large and flat area, and the main residence was surrounded by a river. The river was not very large, and from the outside, it looked like a silver ribbon, full of a faint chill. The river was so clear that fish could be seen swimming happily in it. After more than half a month of hard work, the main residence was finally completed. Everyone moved into their rooms happily and celebrated. Shortly after, Lung Ruoxue announced to the godly mainland that the Nightmare Forest was taken. Instantly, it caused a huge commotion on the mainland. At the same time, Lung Ruoxue set up a defensive formation around a mountain peak they were staying at. The defensive power of this formation was much stronger than the one she had set up before. Bang, bang, bang. After a few loud sounds, the defensive formation did not move at all. Master Ning, who was testing the power of the defensive formation, said in surprise, Shui, your array is so powerful. I can't even break it. Godfather, you can't display your true power on the divine continent. Lung Ruoxue couldn't help but remind him. Actually, this array didn't seem that powerful to her. However, it was true that no one in the godly mainland could break through it. I'm still a reverent god. Come, let's try attacking together. Unwilling to give up, Master Ning called his subordinates and planned to attack again. Yes, Master Ning. Master Ning's subordinates replied. Then they attacked the defensive formation together. Bang, bang, bang. There were several more loud sounds, but the defensive formation was still operating as usual. This formation is so sturdy, I can rest assured. Master Ning said with a little pride. This array was set by his goddaughter, and he, as her godfather, was also honored. In fact, he had spared no effort to test the defensive power of this array, because he was afraid that someone would bully his precious goddaughter when he was not around. Now that he had tested it, he was relieved. If he could not break the array, then unless the Divine Master came personally, no one could break in. Little girls, to congratulate you on obtaining your own territory, this is my gift to you. The first elder took out a small and exquisite house from his ring and passed it to Lung Ruoxiu. Chapter 1194. Yuan Shi 3. Why is it a high-grade divine artifact? Stinky old man, you're too stingy. Old Master Ning looked at the palm-sized house and said with disdain, "What do you know, you old thing? A high-grade divine weapon is just right for them to use. Furthermore, my house can grow. When the little girl's strength is high, the level of this house will also increase." The first elder said with a smug look, how could he possibly only gift a high-grade divine weapon to that lass, Lung Ruoxiu? With his status, how could he take it out? He felt that this house was suitable for Lung Ruoxiu and the rest. To put it bluntly, he had prepared this house for Lung Ruoxiu when she entered the God world. This house and the storage ring were both spatial artifacts, but there were still some differences. The storage ring could only store non-living objects, but this house could be used for living. It should be known that such a spatial artifact was absolutely priceless in the divine realm. It was a good item that could not be bought even with money. The main reason was that it could be carried around, and it was very convenient to carry it wherever you went. However, it was also very difficult to refine such spatial equipment. Not only did it require a lot of materials, but it also depended on the artifact master's proficiency in the refining technique. Moreover, the success rate was very low. If Lung Ruoxiu didn't have the universal bracelet, this house would be very useful to her. However, she was still very grateful for the first elder's kind intentions. As a weapon craftsman, she was very clear how difficult it was to craft this spatial-type equipment. Furthermore, the first elder had been hiding in his room for the past few days, so he must have been busy crafting this house. Really? Let me see. Master Ning took the house from Lung Ruoxiu's hands and observed it carefully. It was fine with a glance because he realized that this house was exactly the same as the main residence they were living in now. It seemed that this old thing was quite thoughtful. First elder, thank you. This is for you. Lung Ruoxiu took out a milky white object the size of a baby's fist and looked soft and handed it to first elder. This is... The first elder looked at the soft white object and couldn't help but widen his eyes, his face full of disbelief. The item that Lung Ruoxiu gave him was called Essence Qi. It was a type of natural treasure that was born from the heavens and earth. It was mainly produced in the glaciers of the deep sea. Not only was it rare, but it was also difficult to pick. Hence, the price of Essence Qi was only higher than the house that he had given Lung Ruoxiu. Moreover, only with the primary breath could one refine space-type equipment that could accommodate people, because the primary breath's greatest effect was to create air that was suitable for human breathing. However, the vital breath he had used to refine this house was only the size of a fingernail, while the one Lung Ruoxiu had given him was the size of a baby's fist. He could not help but feel embarrassed to take it. Even though it was not easy to obtain his own vital breath, such a large piece of it could be used to refine a few spatial-type equipment. He did not deserve it. Girl, this is too expensive. I can't take it. Although the first elder was envious, he did not take the piece of origin breath. Compared to the great elder's kind intentions, this is nothing. Lung Ruoxiu replied nonchalantly. This elemental breath was one of the many ingredients that her master had left for her. Furthermore, she had chosen the smallest piece for the Grand Elder. Otherwise, the Grand Elder would have fainted from shock. Mo Yan and Lu Feng probably don't have such equipment either. This should be enough for you. Lung Ruoxiu added. In other words, she was saying that this item was not for you alone. They just happened to be lacking this elemental breath. The first elder was a little speechless. This little girl had already seen through their thoughts, so how could he still refuse? He took the piece of primordial breath and was about to put it into his ring, but Master Ning snatched it away. Please reading on MYBOXNOVEL.com. This is elemental breath? Let me take a look. Master Ning's face was full of curiosity. Although he had lived for a long time, he had never seen this thing before. Who asked him to not be interested in refining weapons? Holding the vital breath in his hand, Master Ning looked at it carefully and then kept poking the soft, vital breath with his fingers, playing with it. Old man, this is not for you to play with. Seeing this, the head elder snatched back the vital breath and looked at Master Ning like he was guarding against wolves. Stinky old man, don't be so stingy. It's such a big piece of primordial chi, and it's a gift from my goddaughter. When you make another spatial equipment, you have to give me one. Master Ning took advantage of the situation. This is a gift from my god-granddaughter. It's none of your business. The first elder rolled his eyes and said in an extremely calm manner, Stinky old man, how can you do this? After all, we've been friends for so many years. You can't even bear to give me a house. Oh, just make it according to my house in the divine realm. Master Ning continued, obviously wanting a share of the loot. It's not impossible if you want the house, but you have to prepare the materials yourself. The great elder said without any room for discussion. In his heart, he kept thinking if this bandit had the materials, he would have made one for himself long ago. Would he still need to live in a tent? I can provide the materials myself, but you have to provide the essence energy. Master Ning wasn't stupid. The most important material for making inhabitable spatial equipment was this vital breath, and vital breath was something that was hard to find and couldn't be bought on the market at all. Therefore, he could only be lazy to deal with this stingy, stinky old man. Elemental breath? Master Ning, if you want this old man to provide the breath, why don't you arrange people to search in the glacier yourself? At this time, Lu Feng's voice interrupted. Stinky brat, it's easy for you to say, but do you think primary breath is like cabbages? If it was so easy to find, I would have sent people to look for it. It wasn't easy to go to the glacier to find the breath of vitality, because the breath of vitality was produced in the depths of the glacier. Unless one had the strength of a reverent god, they couldn't resist the cold of the glacier at all, let alone go down into the extremely cold water. Then why did you still let this stinky old man provide you with essence breath? He knew that his grandfather did have a small piece of vital breath in his hands. It was a precious treasure. If it wasn't for the fact that his grandfather didn't have enough materials, he would have refined it into a piece of equipment long ago. How could it be coveted by others? Little Shui gave him a piece the size of a baby's fist. It's enough to share with me. Master Ning said matter-of-factly. What? Lu Feng's eyes widened as he looked at Master Ning. A piece the size of a baby's fist? Was that even possible? Chapter 1195. Yuan Shi For not only him, even Mo Yin and Lui Wei, who had come with him, were stunned. They all looked at Master Ning in disbelief. They were suspicious of the truth of Master Ning's words. Why are you all looking at me? I don't have any elemental breath in my hands. The elemental breath has been kept by this stinky old man. You guys can go and ask him for it. Master Ning said with an evil smile. Grandpa, Lu Feng called out softly. Master, Mo Yin also called out, although Lui Wei did not shout. She looked at First Elder with anticipation. The girl did give me a piece of primordial breath. The First Elder didn't deny it, but he still glared at Master Ning in secret. The girl said that she's going to help us refine some living equipment. The Great Elder added, for us. Lu Feng was pleasantly surprised. This little fox still had some conscience. However, since it was for them, they couldn't let Master Ning keep an eye on it. Thinking of this, Lu Feng smiled and said to Master Ning, Uncle Ning, looks like you don't have a share of the essence breath. I'm really sorry. Who said I didn't? My goddaughter gave it to you. Master Ning reminded them, unwilling to give up. They couldn't even think about getting rid of him. Grandfather, is that essence chi really the size of a baby's fist? Lu Feng asked helplessly. It seemed that old man Ning was too lazy to give it to them, and he was the little fox's godfather, so he really couldn't refuse. Yes. The Great Elder nodded, then stared at Master Ning and said, Old man Ning, I've said it before, you have to prepare the materials yourself. I can provide the origin energy. No problem. Seeing that his goal had been achieved, Master Ning also laughed happily. However, the First Elder, who had been robbed, was not in a good mood. Lung Ruoshua looked at the two adorable old men fighting and could not help but smile helplessly at the demon. She then took the room back to her room to study it. In the bracelet, please reading on MYBOXNOVEL. Calm the demon watched as Schwer, who took the small house and looked it up and down, then dripped her blood on it to recognize it as her master, and placed the room on an empty space in the space. In an instant, the house grew from small to large, exactly the same as the main residence they had built. As Lung Roashua and the demon walked into the house, the beasts that were attracted followed them closely out of curiosity. They looked around the rooms one by one and then sat down in the garden. Schwer, the spiritual chi here is not dense enough, but it's enough for living, the demon said with some regret. Demon, your requirements are too high. Actually, this house is not bad. If you want more spirit chi, you can set up a spirit gathering array inside. Lung Roashua said helplessly. Yes, that's a good idea. With this room, we want you to live in tents when we travel around the continent. Moreover, we can also live in this room when there are outsiders. The demon smiled. Although this house couldn't be compared to Schwer's inner space, it wasn't as convenient for them to enter the inner space when there were outsiders around. Therefore, this house was a good choice. Sister, Fonda is looking for you. Just as the two of them were chatting, Qing Ju suddenly appeared. Oh, Lung Roashua had an idea and left the bracelet with the evildoer. Fonda was waiting for her in the room. What's the matter? Lung Roashua asked in confusion. The area of the nightmare forest was rather large, so she had sent Fonda and the rest out for the past few days. Other than investigating the situation inside the forest, she had also done so to confirm their private territory. After all, if they were to completely occupy a place where they could train, it would only lead to a collective attack from all the major factions. She did not want to be in the limelight now, so she decided to open up a piece of land. It was open to the public, but it had to be under her control. The reason why she had such an idea was also based on the rules of the Green Dragon Mountain. Miss, I've received news from City Lord Yen. The number of people entering the city has increased several times over the past few days. I'm guessing they're from the major forces. Fonda reported that no one knew that the 5 cities, including Yin Bei, belonged to them. That was why they could easily grasp the movements of those forces. That's normal. It would be strange if they didn't come. Lung Roashua laughed evilly. These factions had arrived at the right time. She was just about to kill the chicken to warn the monkeys. Otherwise, she would not have asked her godfather to disclose their relationship. Otherwise, if Master Ning had said that his goddaughter had taken a fancy to the nightmare forest, who would dare to object? Chapter 1196. Gifts for the major factions 1. Hee. This time, we'll let them know how powerful we are. Fonda said with a smirk. Yes, Fonda. Go and prepare yourself. We're going to welcome our guests. Lung Roashua chuckled. All right, miss him going out. After Fonda finished speaking, he turned around and left. 2 days later, all the major forces in the Nightmare Forest had gathered. Not only that, but the Wen family, Fan family, Yao family, Chung family, Ning family, and Qi family from the 8 god domains had all sent people here. The other forces also seemed to see them as the leaders. The various forces gathered in groups of 3 to 5. There were also those who hated each other and opposed each other at first sight, such as the Wen family and the Fan family. The arrival of the Ascender Alliance seemed to have raised this disharmonious atmosphere to a new height. After they set up their tents in the encampment chosen by the various forces, the familiar forces began to chat with each other. The purpose of their conversation was nothing more than how to deal with this matter. After all, the Nightmare Forest originally had no owner, and anyone could come as they pleased. Now that it was occupied, how could they accept it? It was like something that didn't cost any money suddenly belonged to someone else. Even if one didn't want it, one would feel extremely unbalanced. It was because of this imbalance that they came here together. Chirue was the head of the Qi family's representative in the Nightmare Forest. However, he was not here to condemn anyone, but to congratulate them. Naturally, the Ning family had the same intention as him. Ning Fei came in person. Except for the first elder who stayed in the main house, almost all the other elders of the Ning family came. They came here to congratulate, and also to meet the ancestor of the Ning family. However, they didn't head straight for Lung Ruoxue and the others' residence. Instead, like the other major factions, they set up a simple camp in the forest. The Qi family and the Ning family's bases were next to each other, so the people of the two families were now gathered together and chatting. Why did Master Ning come in person? Qi Rui looked at Ning Fei in confusion. He more or less knew about the Ning family situation, and he was also clear that Lung Ruoxue had something to do with the blood reformation of the Ning family. Could it be that Ning Fei came here personally because of this? My family's old ancestor is here. Of course I'm here, Ning Fei said nervously. He was afraid of his serious ancestor, but he wanted to be treated differently by his ancestor. Therefore, he was very conflicted. Master Ning hasn't left the godly mainland yet, Qi Rui said in surprise. When Master Ning had sent people to take Ning Rong, and the others away, the Qi family had thought that Master Ning had already returned to the divine world. Please reading on MYBOXNOVEL. No, he's always been with Miss Lung. I'm afraid that Miss Lung's decision to make the Nightmare Forest her territory has caused public anger, Ning Fei said worriedly. However, with the great ancestor's support, those forces would not dare to make things difficult for Lung Ruoxue. Lung Ruoxue wouldn't be afraid. Although he had not spent much time with Lung Ruoxue and the others, he was well aware of their fearless nature. Some of the forces that came today would probably not be able to return. Yup, there's nothing to be afraid of about Miss Lung. Old Grand Madam will definitely support her, Ning Fei said. He thought that Qi Rui said that Lung Ruoxue wouldn't be afraid because of their ancestor, so he couldn't help but agree. Master Ning, you've misunderstood. Even without your Ning family's old ancestor, Lung Ruoxue and the others won't be afraid, Qi Rui explained. That's true. If Miss Lung was a timid person, my family's old ancestor would not have accepted her as his goddaughter. Ning Fei sighed. How good would it be if he could make the old ancestor see him in a different light? Unfortunately, the thought of meeting the ancestor made him extremely nervous. Goddaughter? When did this happen? Qi Rui's eyes widened in disbelief. The Ning family's elder, who was not easy to get along with, had actually taken Lung Ruoxue in as his goddaughter. They had not heard of this at all back in Qi City. I don't know. Ning Fei was also confused. He didn't dare to inquire about this matter. Otherwise, the old ancestor would definitely eat him. As the two of them were chatting, they suddenly heard a few loud sounds. They looked up at the same time and saw a few people fighting not far away. From the clothes of the people in the chaotic battle, they should be from the Wan and Fan families. Seeing this, Qi Rui and Ning Fei didn't think much of it, because they knew very well that these two families had never liked each other. Sometimes, they might maintain a friendly relationship on the surface, but in private, they often fought. But this time, they actually started fighting in front of so many forces. It must be a big deal, Qi Rui and Ning Fei secretly guessed at the same time. Very quickly, the people who were in conflict were pulled apart by the people from their respective families. However, those people still glared at each other. Who allowed you to fight without permission? The sixth elder of the Wan family who was leading the group glared at his own junior with a face full of anger. Damn it, they actually fought in public. The Wan family had lost all face. Sixth elder, the Fan family has gone too far. They've actually stolen our prey. A young man from the Wan family said indignantly. Who stole your prey? We were the ones who got it first. The man from the Wan family had just finished speaking when someone from the Fan family immediately retorted. We saw it first, the man from the Wan family shouted. Who can you blame if you didn't see it? Don't you know the rules? Of course, it belongs to whoever hits it. A member of the Fan family said with a proud expression. Sixth elder, the Fan family has gone too far. Don't stop us. We must teach them a good lesson. The Wan family was enraged by the Fan family's provocation. Have you all forgotten why we came to the forest? I didn't bring you here to cause trouble, so you'd better behave. The sixth elder roared in anger. In the face of his might, the one family did not dare to speak. At this time, the elder leading the fan family team also said with a smile, "Hee, as one of the 8 great divine regions, we should help each other and fight against a common enemy. How can we fight among ourselves first?" Chapter 1197. Gifts for the major factions too. Yup. We can't use internal coaxing. Someone immediately echoed. Their purpose for coming here was naturally to discuss Lung Ruoxu's matter of marking the Nightmare Forest as her territory. There was a tacit understanding between the various factions. This time, they had to use pressure to chase Lung Ruoxue and her group out of the forest. This forest belonged to everyone on the godly mainland. How could it become a private territory? It must be known that their respective families would send people here almost every year to gain experience and obtain a lot of resources from the forest. Therefore, none of them were willing to let this natural treasure house become the territory of any one force. This was a serious violation of the interests between them, and it was not allowed by the major forces. With the help of the elder of Fan family and the agreement of the others, the people who were in conflict with the 2 families had to calm down. Although they were all unwilling, no one dared to doubt the words of their elder. However, what they did not know was that their every move in the forest was within Lung Ruoxu's grasp. In the living room of the Lung family's main residence, Lung Ruoxue sat on a chair and chuckled as she explained what had happened in the forest to the crowd. Instantly, the crowd burst into laughter. "Miss, they're clearly here to cause trouble for us. However, they're coaxing us before they even see us. It's really too funny," Fonda said with a smirk. He had prepared some gifts for those forces in the forest, but he didn't know if they could take it. He didn't want to die before he even saw them. He would be very disappointed. Those forces are all gathered together because they have a common interest. Of course, their hearts are not united. However, this is more beneficial to us. Lung Ruoxue laughed evilly. This time, she intended to kill the chicken to warn the monkeys. However, she had to choose the chicken carefully. It couldn't be someone from the 8 great divine regions. After all, she didn't want to have too big of a conflict with the 8 great divine regions yet. Moreover, the other party's power couldn't be too small. Otherwise, it wouldn't be enough to serve as a warning to the monkeys. Who should she choose? Lung Ruoxue was conflicted. Lung Ruoxue was in a dilemma. However, the various factions in the forest had also received their first gift from Fonda. The various forces' forest encampments. It was time to prepare dinner, and some forces had already started to eat. Suddenly, a buzzing sound entered everyone's ears. "What's that sound?" Everyone raised their heads in unison and couldn't help but ask each other. However, no one could give them an answer. Reading on MYB, Osno Velcom, please. Master Ning, do you recognize this voice? Chi Rue asked Ning Fei in a low voice. There were naturally many poisonous insects in the forest, but the sound was like that of bees, so he was not sure. It should be a bee type, Master Ning said hesitantly. In fact, it was normal for bees to appear in the forest, but the sound was still far away. However, the buzzing sound reached their ears, so it could be imagined how many bees there were. "I think we should make early preparations," Chi Rue reminded. "Yes," Ning Fei nodded, and then he gave the elders a look, and they immediately became alert. Not long after, the buzzing sound got closer and closer, and everyone's hearts were on tenterhooks. In the blink of an eye, everyone saw a dark cloud in the sky, flying towards them. Heavens! They're poisonous bees, and there are so many of them. All the major powers were dumbfounded when they saw the tens of thousands of poisonous black bees. Although they had a lot of people, no one was confident that they would not be hurt by these poisonous bees. Moreover, there was more than one type of poisonous bee, and even the most powerful black queen bee was among them. The timid ones were already trembling in fear. "Quickly eat the antidote pill." At this time, someone shouted. When everyone heard this, they quickly took out an antidote pill from their storage rings and quickly stuffed it into their mouths. Although they didn't know if this antidote pill would be effective against the poisonous bees, it was better than nothing. As for the poisonous bees nearby, After seeing their actions, they didn't immediately attack, and even gave them enough time to eat the detoxification pills. However, everyone was a little too nervous, so no one noticed the abnormal behavior of the bees. After they finished eating the antidote, the swarm of bees officially began their attack. In an instant, everyone present was surrounded by the swarm of bees. There were at least 1,000 poisonous bees around each person, and those who had never seen such a scene before immediately fainted from fear. Even so, the swarm of bees did not let them go. After the thousands of poisonous bees stung them, they flapped their wings and flew away with a look of disgust. The Chi clan and Ning clan members were treated differently by the swarm of bees. Although they were surrounded by many poisonous bees, these bees did not take the initiative to attack them, but instead stared at each other. Even so, the Chi clan and Ning clan members were extremely nervous and looked at the swarm of bees surrounding them with vigilance. Master Ning, did the bees attack you? Chi Rue, who felt that something was wrong, couldn't help but transmit his voice. No, they didn't attack you. Ning Fei couldn't help but ask. He couldn't help but wonder, what the hell do these bees mean? They surrounded him but didn't attack him. Could it be that they wanted to have a mental battle? However, the situation in front of him was indeed quite frightening. Since the bees were not attacking, he did not dare to act rashly. He did not want to anger the bees, and the consequences would be more serious. At the same time, Ning Fei sent a message to his elders to ask about their current situation. The answer he got was that the bees didn't attack, which made him confused. But he didn't forget to remind the elders that if the bees didn't attack, they shouldn't attack first, or it would be bad if more bees were attracted. The bee colony glared at them for a while before flapping its wings and flying away. Master, what's going on? The Ning family's elder was so puzzled that he was about to frown. I don't know. Ning Fei was also confused. Could it be said that they had good character? Master Ning, let's not think about this for now. Let's think about how well explain it when others ask. Chi Rue reminded. So many people had been stung by the poisonous bees, and they were the only ones safe and sound. It would definitely arouse suspicion. Chapter 1198. Gifts for the Major Factions 3. What's there to explain? We have a good character. Others can't be envious of us. Ning Fei said disapprovingly, Humph. He wanted to see who would dare to question him. Master is right. We have a good character. As soon as Ning Fei finished his words, some elders immediately agreed, and the other elders also nodded in agreement. Looking at the proud faces of the Ning family, Chirue couldn't help but feel a few black lines slide down his forehead and couldn't help sighing. This Ning family, from master to elder, was a little too narcissistic. This has nothing to do with character, okay? However, since the Ning family felt that it was because of his good character, then they would use this reason for the time being. As for whether others believed it or not, it was none of their business. After the bees finished their sting, they flew away as if they had completed their mission. Apart from the Ning clan and Chi clan, the rest of the people present were all covered in wounds and were in a terrible state. Their faces were covered in countless red spots of different sizes, and many of them had even fainted because their cultivation was low, unable to resist the corrosion of the poison. Why are you all fine? The elder of the Yao family couldn't help but roar in anger when he saw Ning Fei, Chi Rue, and the others were perfectly fine. This was really infuriating. They had all been stung beyond recognition, but the people of the Ning family and Chi family were fine. How could he not be envious and jealous? Ning Fei and Chi Rue looked at each other, sharing the same thought. The troublemaker had indeed come. However, the two of them were prepared and said in unison, We have good character. You can't be envious of our character. As soon as the two finished speaking, not only was the Yao family elder angry, but almost all the major forces were angry. In an instant, the people who had been stung less by the poisonous bees all gathered in front of the Ning family and Chi family's encampment and stared at them with unfriendly expressions. Oomph. Do you think we will believe your nonsense? Those poisonous bees must be related to you. Otherwise, why didn't they sting you? Why did they sting every one of us? The Yao family elder shouted at the top of his lungs, as if he was afraid that no one else could hear him. Elder Yao, what do you mean? Ning Fei asked in confusion. Are those poisonous bees under your control? Ning Fei, what is your purpose? Don't think that you can do whatever you want just because you're the leader of the 8 great divine regions. Let me tell you, with our Yao family here, don't even think about hiding the sky with one hand. The Yao family elder said indignantly. Elder Yao, have you been stung silly by the bees? It would be great if I could control those poisonous bees. Ning Fei couldn't help rolling his eyes. That's right. If we can control the bees, your Yao family will be our first target. An elder of the Ning family also said with disdain. What did you just say? If you say that you're not the ones controlling it, then how do you explain the swarm of bees? The Yao family elder pressed on. Reading on MYB, Osno Velcom, please. Elder Yao, you're asking us, but who should we ask? We also want to find out. Why don't you call those bees back and interrogate them yourself? Another elder of the Ning family sneered. Yup, since Elder Yao Wu's suspects that were colluding with those bees will personally capture those bees and interrogate them. It's good to prove our innocence. Chirue laughed evilly. You're clearly in cahoots with him. The Yao clan elder repeated angrily, his face red with anger. Why don't you show us how you're colluding? Chirue said expectantly. He wanted to have those poisonous bees as his subordinates, but unfortunately, the queen bee would not recognize a master. The 5th elder was so angry that he couldn't say anything. The others didn't dare to say anything either, because they all knew that the bees didn't belong to anyone. It was only the 5th elder of the Yao family who was so aggressive because of his jealousy. However, the fact that the Yao family dared to provoke the Ning and Qi families didn't mean that the others would agree. They didn't have the courage to do so, not to mention that only the Yao family had spoken. The Chung family and the other families of the 8 divine domains who had also suffered didn't say anything, so they naturally didn't need to offend the Ning and Qi families like the Yao family. Elder Yao Wu, on the account that we all belong to the 8 great divine regions, don't blame us for not warning you. Hurry up and treat your injuries. Otherwise, if the bees come back, you'll be in deep trouble. Chirue said with a smile. Young Master Qi, are you cursing us? The 5th elder of the Yao family said loudly. I'm just reminding you. If Elder Yao Wu insists on treating my good intentions as a curse, then just pretend I didn't say anything. Chirue said nonchalantly. As soon as he finished speaking, everyone heard a buzzing sound again. Their faces turned pale, and they were all panicking. He's really here. What do we do? Someone said in fear. What are you afraid of? Can't we deal with those poisonous bees with so many people? The 5th elder of the Yao family bit the bullet and rebuked. We really can't deal with it. Someone mumbled softly, and his words were the same as everyone else's. If they could deal with it, would they still be stung? Who is it? Who said that? The 5th elder of the Yao family said angrily. As soon as he finished speaking, the swarm of bees that had left and returned instantly arrived in front of him. In the blink of an eye, the 5th elder was surrounded by the dense swarm of bees. When the others saw this, their faces turned pale with fear. Some of them even pretended to faint. However, no matter what their reactions were, the swarm of bees did not intend to let them go. After stinging them again, the swarm of bees swaggered away. The bees are definitely with you. The Yao family's 5th elder, who had been stung all over his head and body, hatefully said, Elder Yao Wu, even though we sympathize with you, you can't wrong us like this. Chirue said with an aggrieved expression. This time, the bees left and returned, and the one who was stung the most was the 5th elder of the Yao family. However, he did not sympathize with him at all. Instead, he was gloating. It would be good if the sting was more vicious. That's right. Elder Yao Wu, are you sure you want to blame your misfortune on us? Ning Fei asked with a smile. Chapter 1199, Gifts for the Major Factions for a the Yao family's fifth elder was taken aback by their question. In truth, he didn't really want to blame it on them. It was just that he felt unbalanced when he saw that the people from both families were unscathed. Everyone, I hope that all of you can make your own judgments and not be affected by others. Also, don't forget that we have always been with you. How can we collude with the bees? Besides, have you ever heard of anyone who can control bees? Chi Rue rolled his eyes at the fifth elder and said to the others, "Yup, this is simply impossible." The fifth elder of the Yao family must have gone mad with anxiety. Someone heard Chi Rui's words and quickly tried to smooth things over. Your injuries are not light, and it's already night time when the poisonous insects in the forest are the most active. So everyone, quickly heal your injuries. Chi Rue kindly reminded again. As for whether or not people would not appreciate it, that was not within his scope of consideration. After hearing Chi Rui's words, everyone became anxious. They couldn't be bothered to watch the show anymore and quickly took out their best antidotes and ate them. However, their antidotes couldn't completely remove the poison from the wasps. Everyone's face was still red and swollen, but it wasn't a big deal. After spending the night in fear, the swarm of bees that they were so afraid of did not bother them anymore. The next day, the various major forces could not wait any longer and began to search for Lung Ruoxue and the others. They had come here with the intention of launching a surprise attack to catch Lung Ruoxue and the others off guard. However, they did not know the exact location of Lung Ruoxue and the others. Hence, they could only wander around the forest like headless flies. However, after searching for a day, they did not find anything. Hence, they could only return to the encampment. After dinner, everyone went to bed early. Midnight, the people who were not sleeping well were woken up by the rustling sound. However, when they opened their eyes, they almost fainted from fear because they were surrounded by giant spiders. Each of them was the size of a millstone, and their lantern-like eyes were staring at them. They clearly saw them as prey. Reading on MYB, O Snow Velcom, please. The screeches reverberated in the forest. These spiders were more disgusting than the poisonous bees, and they were more terrifying. When the Chi family and the Ning family heard the scream, they quickly came out of their tents. The people from the two families looked at each other, curious about what those people had encountered. What happened? Chi Rue quickly asked when he saw someone running out of the tent. Spider. A giant spider. Help me. When that person saw the Chi family and Ning family, he ran towards them, and there were several large spiders chasing after him. Chi Rue, Ning Fei, and the others were a little unhappy when they saw that the man had actually led the spiders to their side. However, they were still prepared to fight. Who knew that those big spiders actually ignored their existence and only chased after their target? They didn't even look at Chi Rue and the others. Seeing this, Chi Rue and the others had no choice but to let down their guard. It wasn't that they didn't want to save him. It was the spiders that ignored them. Chi Rue and the others couldn't help but think. However, the things that had happened in the past 2 days had been too strange. Whether it was the poisonous bees or the poisonous spiders, they had all turned a blind eye to them, which made them suspicious. However, at this moment, they did not link the strange incident that they had encountered to Lung Ruoxue. This was indeed not Lung Ruoxue's fault. In a bracelet, Lung Ruoxue and the others, who had a panoramic view of everything through the light screen, all laughed out loud. Ha ha! What an unlucky fellow! Let's see if they still dare to be smug now. Fonda said with a gloating expression. He was extremely satisfied with the gifts he had prepared for them. I wonder how many of their forces will dare to wander around in this forest after tonight. They'll wait and see. Lin Yuan also said, You little guys are really too bad. You can't even play with people like this. Although Lung Qingshan's mouth was filled with disapproval, his expression was one of joy. In truth, he wished that these people would stay in the forest forever. However, he could not say this out loud. Otherwise, Fonda and the others would be too proud. We were wrong. We should have just let them die. Fonda and Lin Yuan immediately admitted their mistakes. Chapter 1200, Tragic Forces 1. it's not a bad idea to just let them die. Lung Ruashua nodded. He'll make the arrangements immediately. Fonda was very anxious. Lung Ruashua nodded and immediately placed Fonda into the bracelet. In fact, Fonda and Lin Yuan's words had reminded her. She had wanted to kill the chicken to warn the monkeys, but she had not chosen a suitable organization as a target to warn the monkeys. If the various large organizations suffered countless deaths and injuries before meeting them, it would attract even more people and make them understand the danger of Nightmare Forest. Hence, Lung Ruashua had decided to change her strategy. At this time, the various major forces in the forest were still unaware of the kind of danger they were facing. If the previous fight was just a small fight to scare them, then what they were about to face was the threat of death. The appearance of the giant spider made the people of the various forces who were already on tenterhooks even more frightened. Some people even thought of leaving the forest because this place was simply too terrifying. Actually, it wasn't like they had never been here before. It was just that they had never felt so dangerous before, and they hadn't been able to sleep well for the past 2 nights. After the giant spider retreated, everyone sat on the ground dejectedly. Some people's faces were still pale, while others were still trembling. They all looked listless, and their clothes were in tatters. "What do you two have to say now?" The 5th elder's face was livid. He looked at Qi Ruwei and Ning Fei, who were safe and sound, and shouted angrily. "Elder Yao Wu, are you trying to say that we are in cahoots with those giant spiders?" Qi Ruwei joked in a good mood. "Isn't it? Everyone can clearly see why those spiders are only chasing us and not you. Isn't that enough to explain the problem?" The 5th elder of the Yao family roared loudly. His words were meant for everyone to hear clearly that this matter was not as simple as it seemed. "Elder Yao Wu, I'm sorry. You'll have to ask those giant spiders about this. We really don't know them," Chirue said with a smile. However, his smiling face was an eyesore to the 5th elder of the Yao family. "Did you guys hear that? He's clearly trying to shirk his responsibility." The 5th elder of the Yao family had learned his lesson this time and directly asked the people behind him. However, everyone was currently in a very low mood. No one was interested in accompanying him to cause trouble for the Ning and Qi families, so his words did not receive any response. "I'm asking you a question. Are you all deaf?" Seeing this, the 5th elder couldn't help but roar. Fuck, these cowards are really driving him to his grave. Can't someone echo his words? Thinking of this, he couldn't help but glare at his own clansmen. However, the people of the Yao family all lowered their heads. No one dared to look at him. Seeing this situation, the 5th elder was even angrier. 5th elder of the Yao family, now is not the time to talk about this. Let's think about what we should do. If this continues, I'm afraid we'll be dead before we can even find Lung Ruashua and the rest. At this moment, the elder leading the Chung family's group spoke up. His face even had a trace of dissatisfaction towards the 5th elder of the Yao family. This old thing actually said that they were all deaf, which was preposterous. In fact, they just didn't want to cooperate. After all, they didn't want to offend the Ning and Qi families. More importantly, the Yao family's relationship with people had never been good, so they naturally didn't need to be on the same side as the 5th elder. Reading on MYB, Osno Velcom, please. The Chung clan's 1st elder is right. Now isn't the time for internal strife. We should think about how to face the upcoming crisis. I have a feeling that things won't be so simple, so we must take early precautions. Ning Fei agreed with the 1st elder of the Chung family and chuckled. He said that because he wanted everyone to understand that they were on the same side and had the same goal. Oomph. Those poisonous bees and spiders won't bite you. So what are you afraid of? The 5th elder of the Yao family said unhappily after hearing what Ning Fei said. "Elder Yao Wu, you really don't know what's good for you." "Of course I'm not afraid. I'm thinking for you guys. It's fine if you don't appreciate it, but don't influence other people's thoughts," Ning Fei warned, and his words were clearly meant for the others. Sure enough, after hearing Ning Fei's words, everyone present glared at the 5th elder of the Yao family with a bit of hostility. He was so angry that he almost vomited blood. He said that those poisonous bees and spiders were with the Nings and the Kais, and no one was cooperating with him. Now, with just a few words from Ning Fei, they all changed sides. What the hell was this? And the reason why he believed that everyone had switched sides was because he had never thought that they were not related to him in any way, nor did they have any deep friendship with the Yao clan. So why would they cooperate with him? Everyone, let's first discuss our countermeasures. Otherwise, if there are more poisonous bees or giant poisonous spiders, I don't think anyone can stand it. Ning Fei was very satisfied with the effect he had caused and smiled. Can we back out now? Whoever wants to occupy this forest can do so. We don't want to stay here any longer. The leader of a small force was the first to speak. His face was unusually careful, afraid of offending the others. However, at this moment, there was more than one family that had the same idea as him. Although they were all small forces, they were still a significant force when added together. However, other than one family, the other forces were all watching. What did you just say? I dare you to say that again. The Yao family's fifth elder glared at the person who spoke and fiercely said, Elder Yao Wu, be gentler. Don't scare her. Ning Fei said with a smile. We want to withdraw. We won't participate in this matter anymore. That person repeated in a low voice. They were only a small force, and their strength was low. Therefore, even if this forest was not occupied by others, the benefits they could obtain from it would be limited. Thus, he felt that there was no need for them to lose their lives here. Woo, this place was really too dangerous. No, if any of you dare to back out, they'll kill you right now. The fifth elder of the Yao family refused, and the veins on his aged face bulged. Elder Yao Wu, since they want to withdraw, why force them? This is a matter of mutual consent. So don't think that just because you're a member of the Yao family, you can look down on those small forces. Qi Rui fanned the flames at the side, and his words resonated with some forces that wanted to withdraw. You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.